I call this meeting of the Greenbelt City Council to
Recording in
order.
progress.
I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Good evening. Councilmember Fritz,
Present.
Councilmember Niesel,
Here.
Councilmember McKinney,
Here.
Councilmember Pompey,
Here.
Councilmember Pope,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver,
Here.
Mayor Jordan.
Here. So this is the first meeting of the new council, and it's an auspicious night tonight. So let's get things started correctly with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to read the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation.
Thank you. And Councilmember Niesel, the Greenbelt Pledge.
Of course. The strength of Greenbelt is diverse people living together in a spirit of cooperation. We celebrate all people. By sharing together, all are enriched. We strive to be a respectful, welcoming community that is open, accessible, safe, and fair.
Thank you, thank you. And of course, I'd like to pause for a moment of silent reflection as we remember several residents and others who have passed away since the last council meeting. These would include former Greenbelt resident Yvonne Lee Moore Morrison, Greenbelt residents Ola Haas, Michael Raleigh, Bonnie Sue Straighton, Donald Mack Weirick, and Elizabeth Christina Balak Kubicek. Let's pause for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Hold on a moment, please. Donald Wyrick? Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. So we hold council meetings 2 times a month, except for August and December, on Mondays to set policy and to take formal actions. Tonight's session, as is the case with all of our sessions, it's open to the public, uh, except executive sessions as authorized by state law. Residents may observe our deliberations, and we'll pause periodically to provide opportunities for the public to comment. If you wish to speak during a designated comment period, if you're in person, just raise your hand, wait to be recognized. After being recognized, you can go to the podium, and you'll need to state your name and where you live for the record. If you're on Zoom, you can use the Q&A feature at the bottom tab of your screen, or you can raise your virtual hand. And once again, you would need to state your name and the area that you live in, but we do not accept anonymous comments. And if you're watching remotely, just send us an email. The email address is questions@greenbeltmd.gov. So during the meeting on agenda items, the time limit is 3 minutes. And during petitions and requests, which is the next item on the agenda, you've actually got 5 minutes. So I just want to caution you, ask you, please be civil and avoid disparaging others and questioning motives. We're all neighbors here. This is Greenbelt, so let's do our best. So that is, in fact, going to bring us to item number 4, which is petitions and requests. Are there any petitions or requests? Yes, please.
I should just mention I'm here with Louisa, Mike, Nate, more than 40 years of experience in Greenbelt. Robbie was sad he couldn't be here tonight, but he's been there for 25 years. So, anyways, just to continue, on September 7th is when they originally came. We came to the city council, and they put their names on a letter to ask you all to pass a charter amendment to allow them to form a union. Since that date until now, and I'm going to say managers, but when I say manager, I mean managers or supervisors or the director. One manager has threatened mass layoffs. One manager has threatened to fire a union supporter. One manager has been asking about whether or not people support the union. One manager has told a worker to withdraw his signed card saying he wanted a union. One manager has been pulling people in to talk to them about what they want to see improve on their jobs without a union. And at the last closed-door council session, the HR manager told you all that only a couple people want the union because they didn't get their performance-based raises. And then proceeded to say that there was opposition to the union amongst the workers. Well, with fear tactics and threats, of course there are going to be workers that tell management that they don't want the union. Workers are facing all of this intimidation while they wait to get the simple basic right to form a union with the charter change. The charter amendment is already written for the police, and we are just asking for language substantially similar to the process provided to the Greenbelt City police officers. If a majority of department workers say in writing that they want a representative for the purposes of collective bargaining, they should be afforded that opportunity. We are in the year 2025 in the city of Greenbelt, and the workers outside the police department still do not have the right to form a union. So we ask you to fix this historical injustice expeditiously. There is no reason to delay. Justice delayed is justice denied. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you all.
Thank you very much. We do have an update listed for conversation, for discussion later in the agenda. I don't know if you saw that, but, and we can possibly move that up, special order it after, to sooner in the agenda. But thank you. Are there other petitions or requests? Yes, please.
Good evening, council members and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Susan Smithers. I live at 10J Laurel Hill Road. And I'm here, and you'll reward me for not reinventing the wheel. We know there is a cellular service issue. We could all tell you one horror story after another. I worked on mine, it was beautiful. But I thought, no, let's get to the crux of the matter. I would like to petition the council, Greenbelters, everyone here, to address in a proactive manner this issue. The final reality is that when we go to make a phone call and can't get service, someone could die. That's the ultimate. The least is irritation, consumption of time, but we're talking about lives being at stake. So I would like to suggest that we have a meeting with all the carriers. I would like to ask council if they could make a list of reliable carriers and unreliable carriers, so we don't burn up time. I would like them to come to a meeting open to all where we and council ahead of time will submit a prepared list so that we don't go off willy-nilly. And every company will be asked the same questions. I would also like to suggest that we invite documented, respected medical experts, because we must address the concerns of people regarding cell towers and hazards. Too often in the past, people have waved their arms and screamed and yelled, but not documented anything. So, in your position, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you have the power to summon experts more than we little fish out here in the sea. So I would like to suggest that you publish a list of carriers that do and don't work, that if for any reason you can't take the lead or play a more proactive role in addressing this issue, then if you would kindly publish an advisory telling all of us to go back to landlines. Let me see. Cancel. And hopefully, because you are in a position that you will call upon experts in the cellular field, the carrier field, and health. Can we get someone from NIH? Can we get someone from the American Cancer Society? When I must also ask that when people show up and share their concerns about health hazards, that they are required to submit documentation. We can't be swayed by anecdotal items, anecdotal fears, and so forth. So, in conclusion, I think this problem has gone on too long. I'm not going to berate anybody, but it should have been addressed much sooner. We have slacked off, and you guys are our leaders, and you should be proactive, and you should be blazing the way for us to solve this problem. And we will happily follow you, and we will play whatever role will help. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Perhaps we can actually add discussion on this to the agenda as well. But
Maybe we should do that tonight.
All right.
yes, I believe Mr. Orleans had his hand up next.
Thank you. Good evening, all. I regret that Brother Leon Lerman had to return tonight, and I especially regret hearing of the intimidation that he suggests has occurred on the part of the Public Works Department. In the past, it was also the City Manager's Office that intimidated the Public Works employees several years ago, many years ago, when they were only thinking about organizing. I also regret, frankly, that he's here tonight speaking on behalf of only the Public Works employees. I think an effort, and a successful effort, which I hope it will be, to amend the charter would be inclusive of all employees of Greenbelt. Brother Leon Lerman and the Public Works employees should know that many times in the past, the mayor, speaking on behalf of council with council's accession, has stressed that they set their own agenda. And they work at their own pace. But I'm in agreement, certainly, with Public Works employees' desire to have the charter amended to recognize their right to organize and collectively bargain. And I would wish that for all other city employees. And whatever, I couldn't find it when I looked through the agenda, whatever's on schedule for later discussion, maybe that tonight could be the night that someone on council formally proposes to amend the charter, and this can proceed at a quicker pace than council might otherwise like. Thank you.
Are there other petitions? Yes, please.
Mr. Green?
Mr. Green, yeah. I believe Mr. Green had his hand up.
Awena too. Peace be unto you. My name is Adam Green. I am emissary of the Great Tayak of the Piscataway Indian Nation to the indigenous European people in the Western Hemisphere. And I live in Greenbelt, Maryland, which is also the land of the Nacotchtank Band of the Piscataway Indian Nation Confederacy. And I request that the Greenbelt City Council read the full report of the recommendations of the Piscataway Indian Nation that I submitted to the council last week and consider those recommendations for action. If the council decides not to consider the recommendations presented by the indigenous people of Maryland as represented by the Piscataway Indian Nation that we were contracted to provide, then the Piscataway Indian Nation's request is that the council give an articulable reason why they will not consider the recommendations directly from the indigenous people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Nick Lianos. I live on, at 56 Ridge, Unit J. I too wanted to address the issue of cell towers in Greenbelt, particularly Old Greenbelt. I actually work in the communications field, so I can provide a little bit of maybe more information. I don't think it's an issue of providers. I think it's more an issue of towers. I've lived here in Greenbelt for 13 years. And during those 13 years, I have tried literally every single cell phone provider of possible of the big three and their subsidiaries. And I can tell you from having tried all those providers and their subsidiaries that it doesn't really matter what the provider is. What matters is the lack of towers. If we had another tower that was added, say, at the elementary school, it would give us much greater range and much greater penetration within the entirety of Old Greenbelt. Right now, what's happening is that you can go outside of Old Greenbelt and get 5G ultra wideband signal, but as soon as you enter Old Greenbelt and head down Ridge and towards the elementary school, you drop from 5G ultra wideband to 1 bar LTE almost instantaneously. I think that if we put another tower by the elementary school, that would greatly increase our range, maybe even penetrate deep into Buddiatic Park. 5G carries a much broader bandwidth. And by doing this, we could potentially give residents much more choices when it comes to internet providers, other than Xfinity, other than Verizon. We can maybe bring T-Mobile in, and that internet, which would be 5G internet, would be much cheaper than what you're paying right now for coaxial cable or fiber optic cable.
Those services that they provide range from roughly $35 a month to $50 a month for that particular 5G internet. And I think that's a much better option for people that are on lower incomes. So that's just my personal opinion. And I've noticed too, especially in areas around the center, I have Verizon, the reception is pretty poor. And but once I get out of Old Greenbelt and onto Kenilworth Avenue, it picks up again. Once I go down to Lassner, it picks up again. Once I go out to Greenbelt Road, it picks up again. But right around the center, Buddiatic Park, I'm at 1 bar LTE, and that's pretty poor. Hotspot, pretty much non-existent. And I greatly rely on that when it comes to my particular work. And landlines, honestly, the cable providers do not provide landlines anymore. What they use is voice over IP, and that is all internet based. If your power goes out, you're out. So people really resort to their cell phones, and you need to be able to make a 911 call on your cell phone, and it has to be able to go through pretty much all the time. We need to have that. It's a real critical issue. So please do not take this issue lightly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we generally don't applaud after petitions, but please, Mr. Hartman.
Michael Hartman, 2 Cook Garden Way. Over the years, I've made some suggestions on how this room is to be set up for meetings, etc. And I appreciate the fact that, for example, you accepted my suggestion that during work sessions that the tables be set up in a U shape so that we're looking at people who are speaking and not the back of their heads, which is what it was before. I look in the room today and I see that the area for residents and others is set back as far as possible against the wall. I see a vast wasteland between the council and where the people are sitting. And I think that it feels very distant for me to be sitting back so far, even though I'm in the first row. And I'm wondering, I know that some people might, not me, but think, well, maybe there's a message there that you're trying to keep people away. But I think that it would be good if you were to look at how the room is set up and make it possible for people to hear better and also to see better. And so sorry if you feel this is silly or not important, but I think it is important. And so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other petitions or requests? So, petitions and requests, it's a formal part of our agenda. The city clerk and the city manager and assistant city manager are taking careful notes. We log each one. We cannot often respond completely to a request that comes on the fly. Some issues have been percolating for quite some time. I think council has the ability to refer items to an advisory board, to staff for resolution, or we also have the prerogative to place something on the agenda. So that's how we do it. I believe the collective bargaining piece, there's an item on the agenda later tonight, and I believe I heard Councilmember Pompey suggest that we place it on the agenda and move it up so that it's earlier. So At this time, we do need to get to the agenda itself. And the consent agenda, are there any modifications? There is a modification to the consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I'd like to remove meetings from the consent agenda. There were some things that needed to be, that were updated today after the packet got posted on Friday.
Thank you. So that will become item number 16, 17 on the agenda. Number 20.
23 if we
23.
do it after council activities.
Okay, thank you. For the agenda itself.
But hold on, we have to approve the consent agenda first. Any other changes to the consent agenda?
Are there any other changes? Yes.
I have a
Councilman.
question. Am I able to abstain on the consent agenda? Does it need to be unanimous that everyone votes for it, or?
No.
All right, then I'll just explain that I wasn't in the interview for the advisory planning board meeting, so I'll be abstaining for that item, but I do support the other items.
Okay, thank you. Could I please have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended?
I move to adopt the consent agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The measure is approved, the consent agenda with the abstention. And as far as the agenda itself, are there modifications to the agenda? Councilmember.
Yes, can we special order, please, item number 19 to, let's order that to 11, please.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of special ordering item number 19 to item number 11, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The measure carries. And at this time, could I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as modified?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Fritz says seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Measure carries. So at this time, we have a couple of proclamations to do, 2 proclamations. First has to do with Municipal Government Month. And I'd like to invite our city clerk, Ms. Anderson, and the other members of staff here, the city manager, the assistant city manager. Why don't you come on up? Public Works folks, if you'd like to come forward, please.
City employees.
If you want to. And
It's up to you.
you don't have to if you don't want to.
You're welcome. You're part of this proclamation. You're part of what makes the government work.
And John, too.
Yeah, come on up.
You're all municipal government.
Maximum invite, minimum pressure.
Yeah, these are just all city employees, so they're all part of the municipal.
Okay. Well, here's the proclamation. Whereas there are 157 municipalities in the state of Maryland, and municipal residents account for more than 1/3 of our state's population, and whereas municipalities represent the most responsive level of government, allowing citizens to have direct access to their elected officials, and whereas Greenbelt, like other municipalities, strives to enhance its residents' quality of life by providing a full range of services and programs, including police, public works, social services, recreation, planning, and community development, administration, and finance. And whereas in conjunction with Municipal Government Month, the city flies the municipal government flag at the municipal building and sponsors many activities that display government in action, including the Community Health and Wellness Fair, the Walk to School Day, the If I Were Mayor contest for 4th grade students, the Welcome Packet program, the Fall Fest, the Halloween Wild Rumpus, the electronics recycling, and so many other events throughout the month showing municipal government in action through Greenbelt's social media sites. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim November 2025 to be Municipal Government Month in the city of Greenbelt, and we join the Maryland Municipal League and our sister cities and towns in educating our residents about local government and in celebrating the importance and success of municipal government throughout our state. So I'd like to present this to all of you on behalf of all the employees
Tim, go get in the picture.
Thank you so much.
Anyways.
So, as was said, this month is a month where we do celebrate all of the good things that happen because of municipalities. And municipalities are all about the people. It's about the employees, it's about the staff, and it's about the residents all working together to build a conducive environment for high quality of life. So we'll be featuring the employees in various services on our social media sites throughout the month. I have one other proclamation, and this is for National American Indian Heritage Month. And I don't know, Mr. Green, would you like to come and receive this? You're welcome to. Welcome. Whereas the history and culture of American Indians and Alaska Native peoples are deeply woven into the fabric of our nation, and their contributions have enriched our communities and strengthened our democracy. And whereas November is designated as National American Indian Heritage Month, a time to honor the traditions, languages, and stories of indigenous peoples, and to recognize their enduring influence on our society. And whereas we acknowledge the resilience and achievements of American Indians, Alaska Native communities, indigenous peoples, as we commit to fostering understanding, respect, and collaboration to ensure their voices are heard and their rights are protected. And whereas the observance provides an opportunity for all citizens, all residents to learn about the unique heritage and diverse cultures of Native peoples and to celebrate their invaluable role in shaping our shared history. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim November 2025 to be National American Indian Heritage Month and encourage all residents to participate in the activities and programs, any of them that honor and celebrate the rich traditions and contributions of American Indian, Alaska Native, and indigenous peoples. So I can present this to you if you like. Okay, that's going to take us to item number 9, administrative reports. Number 8, number 9.
All right, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening, residents. Since our last meeting, we've been quite busy. We've had an election, and we've had a record turnout. We had a little over 20%. It's a great accomplishment. Thank you, Council, for being so supportive on the outreach efforts and all the other things that we did to reach out to constituents and voters to get more participation. And we met and exceeded our goal of 20%. So we'll be working with the Board of Elections and publishing more in-depth reporting on the voter turnout. And congratulations to you all on your election. So we had that. We just celebrated numerous events. We've had the Veterans Day activity that we were joined by Governor Moore and County Executive. We had the celebration of awards for the annual awards for the Officer of the Year, Public Works Employee of the Year, and Firefighter of the Year. That was last on Friday. So we're really excited to have such outstanding individuals amongst our ranks. And thank you, Mayor and Council, for joining us for those activities. At this agenda, you just approve grant funds for emergency food assistance for our local schools. The ACE, which is the Advisory Committee on Education, has made a grant awards for programming and has made a recommendation to council to use the balance of the funding, which was $9,994 for emergency food assistance grants for our local schools. We took a proactive approach and got the word out to the principals and have received grant applications for those funds already. So that money it's important and imperative that we get that money to those schools as soon as possible, and we're doing so. Additionally, we're excited to report that we have received a grant from the Capital Area Food Bank that's part of the Governor Moore's food assistance program that he committed to in the amount of $9,300. So we'll also be deploying those funds as soon as possible. We recently installed the two dual port EV charging stations outside. They were working great Friday, Saturday, and part of Saturday they had some issues, so we're working troubleshooting that. But that's part of any project that there's an initial testing phase. Actually, one of the installers is right here. Michael Caravan installed it. The issue we're having with it is not a hardware; it's a software issue. So it has nothing to do with Michael's work. Actually, the hardware installation went great. It's a software issue that ChargePoint is working through. Later tonight, you'll have the first reading of the resolution to implement charging fees. And there's a brief report or an excerpt from the Prince George's County EV plan. And I took out just the 2 pages that are relevant to a pricing model. I'll have more detailed information when council is considering the second reading and adoption. Please let me know if you would like to see any additional information. Particularly in light that energy prices are going up 30%. I had a meeting today with our energy, electricity, and gas broker, and the outlook doesn't look that great. So we're talking about renewing our energy contracts and our gas contracts, and we'll just be paying more for electricity and gas over the next 2 years. And it's important that we do this work now through January as we prepare a budget and factor in those increase in energy costs into our budget. Those are among my updates. You might have seen in the news that I released a statement about the staffing at the fire station. Berwyn Heights, effective today, is receiving a 6-person crew to run a day shift. So that runs a fire apparatus and an ambulance service. Greenbelt retains its paramedic unit 24/7 and an EMS duty officer. I've spoken with the senior leadership team, and they're actively working on getting the 36 recruits that are graduating this week out in the field, get them trained and prepared to staff up the other stations, including Greenbelt, and coming New Year, around February. And I've included our weekly report in the packet. I'll take any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Council. Yeah, Councilmember Pompey, please.
Mr. Summerlin, for those folks who might not know, how many firefighters do we need to staff our station as opposed to Berwyn Heights? What's the difference there?
Yes, excellent question. It's easier to staff Berwyn Heights because it only requires 6 full-time personnel for a day shift, and that day shift is 7 a.m. through 3 p.m. The Greenbelt Fire Station has a 24/7 operation, which requires 24-member crew just to cover the shifts with a staffing factor, and the staffing factor is staffing needed to cover sick leave, vacation leave, and any other incidents that come up. Then the fire department needs 30-person crew to fully staff our fire station. So it's much easier to staff a station that only needs 6 individuals versus our station that needs 24, plus you add on that staffing factor. The staffing factor is the shared resource. So those additional 6 people are not dedicated to the station. They backfill positions that are out for sick leave, injury, or vacation. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Other questions from council? City manager?
A point of clarification on the new recruits or the graduates this week. Someone asked me if we were getting all rookies, and no, we're not getting all rookies. The way it works is those new trained personnel, they are put in different stations to get their training, and when they're fully authorized to run independently. They are put in different stations through the system, so they're not all allocated to one station.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I was just going to comment that the left-hand station looked like it was rebooting when I walked by on my way into the EV station. So maybe that one will be working by the time we get out.
Yes, Councilmember McKinney.
I wanted to just commend the city and the Board of Elections and all the volunteers on the election. So much hard work, a lot of hours, and so I just want to thank everybody for that. Question, you had mentioned that you were going to just make sure you're talking about the results and the great turnout. I also wanted to know if you will also talk about things within the next round of elections that you have learned from this time that you hope to maybe implement next time. Whether it be, provisional ballots, whether it be communication and timing. I'm sure there will be some sort of look back on things that can be worked on and improved in the next election cycle. And will you be able to present that out as well?
Thank you, Councilmember McKinney. And I would like to remind the public that our city clerk runs our city election on the staff side. So thank you, Ms. Anderson, for your wonderful work in leading us. And it's a teamwork. It includes Shania Lashley Mullen and several staff members. And it's really team effort. It's all hands on deck, being led by Ms. Anderson. On the feedback, we had a debriefing meeting this morning. We were talking about the components that are controlled and managed by staff and providing that feedback. We will provide our feedback to the Board of Election. On many of the things, we take the lead on the Board of Election. They are the officials that are overseeing the election, and we have to work with them. Now, the Board of Election also takes its cues from council and what they're authorized to do to run an election. So a topic that was a question on the ballot is ranked choice voting. I think the vote is pretty clear. It's 2-1 on where residents stand on that topic. It will be we would need council's direction on how to implement that and when to implement that. Then there'll be other policy issues that we will need council's feedback and direction on, such as the mail-in ballots. We see an increased demand for mail-in ballots. There is a cost associated with that. This is my position as city manager, and is not the position of the Board of Election, but my position would be that it would be cost efficient and cost effective to just mail all the mail-in ballots out of the gate. Because our current system is that we mail an application, wait to hear from folks, and then we mail in a ballot. We could just do one mailing. We already do one mailing to all the voters. We just do one mailing. But that would be a policy decision that we need to come to council, then Board of Election implements, and then we get it done. So is that the level of feedback that you've been looking for?
Typically, we have a work session with the Board of Elections pretty soon after an election to sort of debrief, and also it gives council a chance to share ideas that they've heard from residents during the election. So maybe that's something we can schedule January, February, once the dust dies down a little bit from the election. I think a lot of us, the Board of Elections is still recovering from the elections, along with our city clerk and much of our staff.
And one disclaimer on my position on the mail-in ballots. I'm coming at it from an efficiency perspective. There are politics associated with mail-in ballots that I am not taking a position on. I'm just purely thinking, we're doing a mailing. It'd be good to do one mailing.
Okay, are there any other questions for the city manager from council? If not, let's go ahead and proceed to the next item, which I believe is going to be an update on how do we phrase this?
First, we've got first reading for the
Excuse me, I'm so
resolution.
sorry. So that actually is a resolution authorizing the city manager to implement electric vehicle charging fees and operating procedures for EV charging stations at the municipal building. This is an item for first reading. There's information in the packet on what the county has recommended and our own thinking. So would a council member like to introduce this for first reading?
I would be happy to if I am allowed. I would like to introduce for first reading and a resolution authorizing the city manager to implement electric vehicle EV charging fees and operating procedures for the EV charging stations at the municipal building.
Thank you. And that's an item for first reading. So it will come up at the perhaps at the next council meeting for discussion and for possible adoption. So thank you for introducing that. Now, at this time, we're going to go to item number 11, which is special ordered. So that has to do with an update on collective bargaining petition by Public Works employees. So this is something that was already on the agenda, and I'd like to ask our city manager to provide a quick update on where we are.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, let me start with an apology on the issues that were presented around the intimidation and other issues. I've addressed those matters directly with the managers that have been alleged to have said those things and do those things. I also called a meeting with the managers and our legal team to advise the managers on what our boundaries are. And I had a meeting with all Public Works employees who were on in the city and working that day. We had some members that were out for training. We had a meeting with the employees to do an initial check-in about the unionization effort and highlighted one, I apologize for any misunderstandings and any actions of intimidation. And I addressed that what positions we can take and not take in the workplace. And I took questions from the employees at that meeting. That meeting was also attended by our HR director, Mr. Martinez. So apologize that was an issue. You guys were there when I addressed it. We try to address it and make sure that we don't have any of that, any of those things going on. And I know that this is not a new thing here in the city. It's the issue of unionization and Public Works have come up in the past, and there's been some hostility or feelings around those issues. And I'm making sure that we don't continue that. And I have an open door policy. So if anything comes up, please bring it to me, and I'll address it right away. So that's my comment on that. So I apologize that those things happen. With the work that has taken place, we did have a closed session with council. It was referenced by Mr. Trent earlier. I can't speak of what we discussed in council session, but we did have that meeting. We have engaged a legal team to help us with the charter amendment as requested by council. That draft is ready. I am expecting that draft tomorrow, and it'll be ready to be scheduled with council. So at council's interest, we will schedule that work session to follow up on that charter amendment. That answer your question, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I just asked for an update. I didn't really ask for a question. But please, I do appreciate the fact that you've pointed out we did hold a closed session for council to provide an overview or just the parameters of the legal implications of discussing a collective bargaining agreement. And it's very, very helpful to council. So that was about 4 weeks ago. Time flies. We did have an election, so please do not construe anything that has happened between September and now as a delay. It's a sincere need to understand what this means for the city and how we can best meet the needs of the employees in Public Works and the city's needs at the same time. So, council members, would you like to make a comment? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I was hoping that we would have charter amendment language by now, and we don't, and I'm very frustrated by that. And I do hope that when we discuss the meetings at the end of later on the agenda, that we can work towards scheduling a work session to discuss the amendment as soon as we possibly can. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember.
Yes. As someone who has worked in labor relations, this is an issue that's very important to me. You know, it's distressing to hear any reports of management intransigence against the collective bargaining rights of our employees. Collective bargaining is a human right, and we should recognize it as such in our laws. And I think once we take this step, and I want to make sure that the laws that we pass cover all of the workers of our city as well. I don't want to come at this in a piecemeal fashion. But I also think that we need to advocate at the state level as well, that it's long overdue that the state of Maryland passes a Public Sector Labor Relations Act covering all workers. And that ambiguity has led to these kinds of issues. And we know that when workers join unions, they are more stable, they have more contentment in their jobs, they're more productive, and we want to make sure that no worker feels like they're being retaliated against or intimidated for exercising their First Amendment rights to free association. And I want to make sure that we move forward as expeditiously as possible while still writing a good policy that makes sure that our workers understand the process and that managers are clear on the process as well.
Thank you. Other comments from council? Yes, please, Councilmember.
I wanted to ask maybe a little bit more, and you may not have the answer right now, so I appreciate that. But I guess it is a little bit concerning hearing some of the communication breakdown and the interactions between some of the members of and some of the employees and managers. And I'm wondering what type of training, additional support are given to managers to look at things like communication, conflict resolution, things like that. I don't know if that is part of their required training, similar to other required training that our employees have to take, and whether we are upskilling our managers, especially if they are new managers, in those particular areas.
Questions on the, just specifically on the union matter, we did have a meeting with the attorneys, and that was a training on how to manage a unionization effort, what can be said, what cannot be said, just having the attorneys talk us through the process and how to behave when we're facing these issues. On the leadership development training, Mr. Martinez has developed 2 training tracks for managers that we're rolling out in the coming months. One is for new supervisory staff, folks that have come up the ranks and are now managers and supervising staff. And then the leadership development that we have received several proposals from HR firms to do senior development for all the managers. We have a training session with several cities, with College Park and a few others on March 20th. Where the senior managers for Greenbelt will be meeting with senior managers of College Park, and we'll be doing a joint senior managers training. So the goal is to accomplish senior management training while also collaborating with other practitioners in the field. So those are 2 programs that we are executing in the coming months. One's for senior management, and then for all supervisory managers on how to do supervision. There's going to be a component on evaluations, how to do coaching and evaluation. We did do trainings on emotional intelligence and conflict relationship through our DEI officer. So we have 2 training modules that are available through the Canvas system and our Paycor system. I see Mr. Martinez's hands up, and I'm wondering if he wants to weigh in more on that. But those are training tracks that we're doing now and that we're planning in the near future.
If you don't mind, I'd like to invite HR Director Martinez promote you so that you can speak. Mr. Martinez, are you there?
Good evening. Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes. My apologies, I couldn't be there in person, but I wanted to reiterate what Mr. Samaroon was explaining just now as far as like the training record. Historically, the city has not had any training for new supervisors as far as like, hey, I'm a staff member, now I'm a supervisor, no training that I can find historically. So that's why I am taking the initiative to implement those kind of trainings within the next month or so. I do have a plan built out for new supervisors and also the current supervisors that's been here. And that's probably why you see a lot of the issue that some of the public works our employees are explaining as far as like the management and the communication breakdown with that. From a operational standpoint, I have yet to have any complaints about any management. So this is all news to me that's being brought in front of council, which is definitely something I can take the initiative to say, hey, why aren't these complaints, if any, coming to HR? So now I need to figure out what can I do and put in place to understand why is this communication happening and not being brought to, human resources at a minimum and being brought straight to council, which is a concern for me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Before, Councilman, before you go again, any other comments from council members? Yes, please.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to echo what Councilmember Pompey had said, which is that we really do need to move forward expeditiously. This is a fairly, I would appreciate moving forward expeditiously. It is a fairly simple request that our staff have really put themselves on the line by asking for, and the least that we can do for them is support them by doing this charter amendment.
Thank you. Councilmember Pope.
Yeah, I think, the timeline, I think I look forward to seeing some of the report. You said you have a draft report. And, right?
I'll have a draft charter amendment. Is there a report?
Okay, so once, and I'd like to see that. And we really have not been like putting the brakes on it. It's just with all the things that happened in a few months. And we did have a meeting with one of our, our lawyers. And so we talked in depth about that. So we need to move forward, and we're not trying to stop you from doing this. And I said that last time as well. So we just have to make sure we have everything in the correct order in order to move forward. So it will happen. I'm positive.
Thank you. Thank you. From my perspective, I was alarmed to hear the petition and the particulars about communication between managers and also communication about what was said in a closed session. I don't understand that at all. And to me, the charter amendment is not as important as each of you actually organizing and going through the steps. I do understand the collective bargaining process, and there's a lot involved with it. And my concern is to get it right. So the consensus on council, I would go so far as to say there's not a lot of opposition to changing the charter, but there is some caution in making sure that we're protecting our citizens and not really hindering what you do. So it's to some extent, it's up to you, the employees in Public Works, to kind of move this ahead as the city responds. Please.
Yes, I want to thank Councilmember McKinney for her very well put question about training. A lot of times, not speaking specifically about this situation, but managers may be uncomfortable about new workspaces or about new changes to the workplace. And we need to make sure, especially when there is no legal framework in place for those employees, the ambiguity, I think, creates situations like this, and the delay causes problems. And building off of Councilmember McKinney's question about training, Mr. Samarin, would you be able to, were there any presentation materials, slides, or handouts that were given to managers at that training that we'd be able to review? We just want to make sure that we're comparing that to see what they were told in terms of the expectations and how they're going to communicate in a unionization environment.
Yes, the lawyers did provide a presentation. So we have, I don't have that. I'll need to get it, but there was a presentation that was provided. Power deck. Sure. Now, I would say on the timing, council had a closed session, and I'm not at liberty to waive council privileges on what was said and not said at the council meeting, but the meeting was October 15th. So, and from a timing perspective, I wouldn't say that this has been delayed. It's got a process to work through.
Thank you. We can take a couple of comments. Mr. Learman.
No, I was just, we've talked to a lot of public works employees. The majority of public works employees have put in writing that they want the union, right? And so I just wanted to address that because, that was in the letter that we said on September 7th when we first showed the letter. The majority of public works employees have put in writing that they want the union. And so, that's why we talked to a lot of the workers before we started this process, so I wanted to just address that. And also like Mayor, if you like any way we can move this, like if I don't know what you were alluding to, but wanting, we want to move this as fast as we can to make this happen. Is there any, I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but were you thinking of something else? Was it when you were saying organizing?
No, I just know that there's a process that you have to go through. So and it's, pretty well defined. Yeah, thank you.
I think there's a process for you to organize, and there's a process, of course, for us, for the city as well.
Right.
So it's a two-way street, right?
Right.
So and that takes a little bit of time.
For sure.
So and like we met in October. Now we have November. So I don't think that we're slowing things down. It's just it, like I said, it will happen. It just takes time because the legal process and making sure the documentation, everything is correct. I mean, this is not an easy task. This is a little bit more intricate than, I mean, you're not asking for an extra day off. You're asking to unionize, which is fine. You can do that, of course. But I think we have to give each other grace because we want to make sure that everyone is protected and everybody's on the same track. Now, I have another question.
Yeah.
So Mr. Martinez mentioned that if anyone feels threatened or has issues with a supervisor, why didn't it go to HR? And my second question would be, has that happened before the trainings were provided and the meetings or after?
I can definitely answer. I can answer your first question. I mean, certainly some of the workers want to have a union. Simply, they don't feel comfortable with management, including HR management, and that's why they want a union. They want a voice for themselves. I can speak to that. There has been ongoing issues with managers saying things to employees up until last week. So, I appreciate Josue's efforts to address some of those concerns. They continue to happen. And, I would say that all we're asking for here right now from you all is the charter change. I will also say that, I do agree that the charter change should happen for any workers in Greenbelt that want to have a union. Obviously, I'm only working with the Public Works Department, but this is just I think it should be a charter change for any workers in Greenbelt. If they want to have a union and the majority of them want it, then they should get it. Yeah.
And we're not denying that,
No,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, I just want to
I
make
know
that
no, I
clear
know you're
because
not.
sometimes it sounds like, you say the city is not allowing you to do that, which is not the case. We just want to make sure we have it all,
Right, and I
in
think
order.
you agree. I think everybody agrees
Right.
that it's been an oversight that it
Yes.
hasn't been here already, right? That it doesn't already
Well,
exist.
And you
That's-
also have, you have some people,
Mr.
they want to have the
Mr.
union
Lerman.
and there's some,
Ms. Pope.
some people they may not,
Right.
so. Yes, sir.
Were there any other comments from folks that are here in the room? Mr. Summeron.
Councilmember Pope had a second part question, and that was when did we address the issues? When Trent raised the issues with me, we called a meeting right away with the managers and the staff to address those issues. Trent, please get me those additional complaints that happened since that meeting onward, because that's when I put the managers on notice and the employees too, because there were some things that are being done at the employee level that we just couldn't, that is not permissible. So please share those instances with me, and I'll follow up with the managers. I have zero tolerance policy on these intimidation tactics and other things that are harassment or other things that create a toxic workplace. So I want to address those things. In fact, we're having anti-harassment training tomorrow.
That's right. I see Mr. Martinez has his hand up. I don't know if he just left that up. Mr. Martinez, did you have an additional comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just would like to make the comment that in remind council, while we do have a petition to begin a union, we have several, more than half the public works employees that petitioned against the union as well. So I just want to kind of throw that out there for council that did not know that. And I'm not sure if that was one of the reasons why it hasn't moved or whatever the case, people think it hasn't moved, but we do have a petition with a lot of public works employees saying they do not want a union. So I just want to take that into consideration as well.
Okay. Councilmember Pompey and then Susan.
Two things. The first thing I want to say is that our role as far as residents, or I'm sorry, as far as workers forming a union in the state, our role as council, our whole entire role here, those of us sitting on the dais, is to just pass that charter amendment. And then whether or not the workers organize, that's their work to do. So all we have to do is pass the charter amendment, and then they can organize, or they could not organize, or they could do what they will. So that's our entire role. And then the second thing I want to say is that whether or not people have signed a petition to not join the union, this is a because of the type of union this is, just so folks know, no one, you are not required to join the union. So if the staff here organizes, and you are someone who doesn't want a union, you don't have to join. So I just want to be clear on that the union is not going to come in and now everyone has to join. So I don't understand why anyone would say we don't want the union. Well, you don't have to join the union if you don't want it. And that's just the truth. If the workers organize, if they're granted the right to bargain, then people who don't want to be in the union just don't have to be in it. They'll still get whatever the contract is that's bargained, if there's a bargained contract, but they don't actually have to join and pay dues. So I just want to be really clear on that's the way the unions work in the public sector.
So I think we're delving into this. This is a sensitive discussion. It's not so sensitive, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit as far as what council's responsibility, what all we have to do. So on the agenda, it's an update. We allowed some time for folks to speak. We're going to allow a little bit more time, and we're working on it. Yes, please.
I just want to applaud Jenny Pompey for her stand. Whether people want or like or don't like unions is a red herring, okay? The issue is, will workers have the right? As Trent said, not just public workers, but all workers. And as somebody over here, I forget if it was Mr. Fritz or Mr. Samaral, that it's time also to go to the state. And this is not a big deal to make a change. And I say full speed ahead.
Well, thank you. Mr. Lemus?
I had more of a question rather than a comment. Just so I understand things correctly, the charter amendment is just basically giving, it would allow for the formation of a union. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember McKinney.
So I think maybe because I know we have a lot to cover. So I think from a status update perspective, are you able to provide kind of at a high level the next steps that have to occur in order to get us to the charter amendment being on the council agendas? Because I know we have to work with legal. There are lots of things that have to go on, but maybe if we can give the public the high level steps that have to go, so then they can better understand the timeline that it will take to get us there.
I'll try my best to itemize it. Draft charter amendment will be ready tomorrow. council could schedule the work session tonight if it desires to. Once that work session is scheduled, the introduction of the charter amendment would need to be done. 21 days from that moment, we can have a hearing because we would need to announce it. We have a 21-day notice, publication notice requirement. 21 days later, council can do the second reading and adoption. So those are 4 tangible things.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fritz, I thought I saw your hand there. No? Are there any other? Mr. Orleans, please.
I appreciate that this much time tonight is being given to this question. It's unnecessary, however. Council had it suggested to it before 5 of you on council tonight were on council many years ago, that council recognized the disparity in our charter, that Greenbelt, the city of Greenbelt, recognizes the right of police officers to organize and bargain collectively if they choose. They did that years ago, and the suggestion was made somewhat years later that council similarly recognized the right of all of its employees to organize and collectively bargain if they choose to. Nobody's being compelled to join the union if they don't want to. It's not going to be a closed shop. But for those Greenbelt employees who would want to organize and join the union and have representation, bargaining collectively on their behalf, Greenbelt simply recognizes their right, unimpeded by council or unimpeded by management, to exercise that right. That doesn't actually require consultation with our city solicitor or any other attorneys. It doesn't really require the review that some members of council think it does. It's simply a recognition of the inherent right of workers to organize should they choose to do so, and then setting out the process by which the city will formally recognize the exercise of that right. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. So if there is no further discussion at this time, when we get to the calendar session, we can schedule a work session. I think the language, it's going to be ready tomorrow. The implication that council not changing the charter was meant to be an impediment to our employees having the right to bargain collectively, it's not true. So go ahead, draft the language, and we can move the process forward if that's council's will. So at this time, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I haven't said anything yet, so I'm going to, I think it's pretty clear that there's a lot of support on here. I think we have our next step. I think it is unfortunate that the language wasn't ready for tonight, but it wasn't. So we'll move forward as quickly as we can. I think unfortunately with the timing over the election, that did slow things down, both from everybody's attention focused on other things, but it sounds like we have a plan going forward. And so we'll move forward.
Mr. Summerlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make one point. It's not directly related to this, but there's some relations to it. I appreciate all of council wanting to update all of our regulations and code. Right? We're working at a major deficit. Our city code is not searchable online. We're working off old PDF files from 1990s. We have a charter task force that we've been trying to impanel to kind of address these issues. So we're working at a deficit, and we're trying to take care of numerous things. And one of them is going to be this charter. And tonight you're appointing members to the Charter Review Task Force. And we're working diligently on getting that city code updated, and it will be online and searchable. And I think that's part of the challenge that we have is we're working at a deficit when it comes to many of these code and regulations.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on at this time. Councilmember Pompey.
If I could just ask for your indulgence, a resident emailed a comment to me that they wanted read during public comment, and I did not see it in time for public comment. If you could indulge me and allow me to read it into the record now, if that's
Is that council's will? Okay, please.
it's not long. This is from, the statement is, improving cellular reception is a serious matter of public safety. Many Greenbelt families live in smaller wood frame homes without basements or interior safe rooms, leaving residents exposed to the danger of severe storms and tornadoes. Thus, residents depend on timely emergency alerts. With current gaps in cell coverage, some households simply don't receive those warnings. Improving cellular service isn't about convenience, rather, it's a necessary safety upgrade for a community with structurally vulnerable housing. And that is from James Groff at 49D Ridge.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for reading that into the record. Yeah. Okay. We are going to move on to item number 12, which now is approval of the Economic Development Strategic Plan. And I want to thank all of the individuals that came out tonight specifically to talk about collective bargaining. Appreciate you. So the city engaged a contractor, Wildan Financial Services, to conduct an economic development strategic plan. After numerous work sessions, business engagement sessions, and staff interactions, this final economic development strategic plan is being presented to council for adoption. In addition, a brief summary of current and planned economic development activities will be presented. Our economic development coordinator, John Mason, is here. John and the city manager, Somarone, would you like to come to the podium and present your information?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. While John's making his way up, I want to thank Mr. Tim George and John for leading this effort. It's been a months-long process. We've got not just a plan provided by the consultants, but also a work plan, something that's tangible, actionable for us to execute, different from the economic development plan, numerous that we have back in the library. It's different from that. It's meant to be under a living document that we'll update in with it's got action-oriented
Very good.
objectives.
Mr. Mason, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, council. And I am very excited about having this opportunity to present an overview of what the Economic Development Office considers to be the final version of the City Economic Development Strategic Plan, EDSP. Given that you've probably have had an opportunity to scan over the final version that you, I think, received a few days ago, I'm going to just do a broad overview with the PowerPoint, and then that will leave us, kind of a little bit more time for questions. So with that, we can begin. And so, first of all, just in terms of the agenda, I just want to kind of give you a quick roadmap here of what we're going to do. Number one, talk about the purpose and the process. Why is it that we really need a strategic plan, and what that process was like working with the consultant. We'll then really had a seamless partnership with them and accomplished a lot in almost a little over a year, actually. Number two, the current implementation, things that we have adopted and we are in the process of implementing, and then future, what's next. So number two slide, and then we'll give a chance to answer some questions. So first of all, of course, for any economic development strategic plan, you need a mission statement. I've been involved with about 4 of these throughout my career, and this by far has definitely been the most interesting because most of the feedback and the input came as a result of myself being over the economic development department for the city. So that is to cultivate a vibrant, regionally connected, and resilient business environment where local businesses grow, residents thrive, public services remain strong for future generations. And it's important for us to really understand that, we need to create an environment where that is conducive for businesses to grow and expand and be successful. And we also want to produce a city that really puts forth a compelling case for businesses to want to come here. And, you know, anybody who's in business is in business for profit, to make money, to be successful, and what have you. So we have to create that environment. So with that, next slide, I wanted to kind of reiterate or just to restate what we already know, and that is, Council, what your pillars are for economic development. And really the substratum, really the undergird of the whole plan was based on your pillars, the sustainability, forward thinking, and DEI, providing exceptional services, and of course, collaboration with other stakeholders regionally and with the state as well. Next slide. So the purpose, of course, for any economic development strategic plan is to give you a roadmap and a tangible document in which to really guide us through the whole process of trying to bring more wealth to our community and make this a place where people want to live, work, and play, be successful, raise their family, and so on. So obviously, you know, you have to have a guide. And so this is it. This is the roadmap. This is a guide. This is what we follow. This is our Bible. This is the thing that we're going to follow in order to come to a conclusion or a result of building wealth in Greenbelt. The second thing is what we did in terms of the process. I'm going to outline just a few things. So the first thing was the engagement, where we brought all the stakeholders together, including yourselves. We also brought together the employees within Greenbelt, you know, stakeholders that are really important in terms of being able to get feedback on what's there, what's here already. What are our key location, what we call key location assets of Greenbelt? How do you feel about Greenbelt as an employee, as a business? All this feedback is important into going in the ultimate creating of the plan. And so the next thing was existing conditions, and that speaks to number one again. You know, where are we? I mean, what do we have now? What are our key location assets? Our real estate. What are the important industries here that really drive our economy? We all know about 14% of our real economy is healthcare. And that's a big number. So that's something we have to support. We have to build on that. And so we assessed those findings, and then subsequent to assessing those findings, we came up with recommendations with the consultant. And then with that, you know, we formulated, you know, this strategic plan, and we're presenting it to you, to council. Now, we're not going to talk about every aspect of the plan. That would take us a couple of hours, I would say, but just kind of give you a broad overview. And so next slide shows the components of the plan. This is the most probably important slide we'll see. We're going to build on this. This slide just shows the 8 major components of the plan, what we consider to be important, and the things that we're going to really focus on and be intentional about in terms of implementing the plan. Number one, small business COVID resiliency. And if you have not had a chance to really read it, if you want to take some quick notes, I can kind of guide you a little bit. Page 16, table 3 is 1.0. That has to deal with the orange box 1.0. So if you want to, page 16, table 3 kind of really goes into that. And that's Greenbelt Small Business Post-COVID Resilient Strategy. Between the county and the city, about $2 million were divvied out to small businesses in Greenbelt during the COVID recovery period. So what's really important is what happens after that? How do we really support those businesses that received all that funding? What programs do we have in place to make sure they remain successful? I mean, we did all we could to make sure they stayed in business. We were pretty successful at that, even with the county's contribution. So in the research that I've done, I've figured that amount of money, there has to be some justification for us really going out there and really supporting them after the fact. Just not giving them money and leaving them with that, but have some plans for futuristic support. Number 2, connectivity. And so a lot of the business said during our stakeholder engagement that they didn't really feel as though they were connected to leadership within the city. They didn't really understand what our value add was in terms of the Economic Development Office. Well, what do you offer? Some of them didn't even know we had an Economic Development Office. So we've been able to do a lot more outreach to share with them what we do and why we're valuable to them. what we bring, and we've been able to really help those businesses to access a lot of great resources that they would not have access had we not been in place in some of these programs. The Entrepreneurship Academy, and that's just really and you'll see that within the plan. It's in section number 3, and that really focuses on just programs, focuses on, training cadres, focuses on really doing outreach, showing them, with our consultants help, not the consultant that did the plan, but other consultants that we bring in for training. I'd love to do everything to everybody, but we got to bring in subject matter experts to really get them trained the right way, professionals in some of these entrepreneurship programs. And the next thing is retail revitalization, which I am so very excited about right now. The timing is impeccable. It's nothing I did, but for some strange reason, retail is beginning to boom here. And so, quick couple of examples, of course. We all know about Blue Sunday that's coming, full service, very upscale restaurant that's coming to Beltway Plaza. Very excited about that. The addition of a new food court that's coming to Beltway Plaza. We've got some other things that we're not at liberty to talk about right now that we're going to believe may happen before the end of the year. You'll be very happy if it does. And then also, in doing our research with Zihan, he's my great researcher. We've been able to determine what leases have been signed within the next 6 months in Greenbelt, and one of which we found, and to credit to us, they just came here because they saw the value, is a 10,000 square foot upscale soul barbecue and boil pot, I think that's what it's called, restaurant.
Hot pot.
Hot pot, sorry. I'm not a foodie, but that's coming to Greenbelt. And so just to name a couple of things. And then, of course, you all were at the ribbon cutting. Hundreds and hundreds of people showed up there to DMV for that ribbon cutting. Very exciting. And we went talking with the owners about why they chose Greenbelt. And even some of the people that have already joined and have been members, there were literally people going to Alexandria to work out at a DMV Iron. And some of those people live in our immediate vicinity, within a 5-mile circumference. Some of the people that actually, and I talked to some of the patrons, they live in Laurel, and they were driving to Alexandria because this is a very unique facility, and we have it right here in Greenbelt.
Right.
I'm going to move along quickly. And the opportunity sites we've been working, of course, with certainly the Armory site, and there's some other things I want to discuss in a couple of seconds here. Multi-City Economic Alliance, working with some of our cities that are contiguous to Greenbelt, that we share clients with and customers with and businesses with, and they're part of our economy. Makes us a little more regional. We talk about the 4 cities, and then priority partnerships, being able to really work with the stakeholders in the county, the regulatory agencies within the county, to make things happen faster, and marketing and tourism. Next slide, please. So I'm going to run a little bit faster because I really want to leave room for questions. So the recovery effort, what are we doing now? So you'll see on page 16, table 3, all of the things that are already underway. I'm not going to name them all. You can look at the check boxes. These are things we're already doing. Very good things that the businesses have really received and been really enthused about. You can see some of those. Business retention. We have about 36 pipeline projects right now. A couple of large ones that we're hopeful for, and we've got actually 12 that have happened just after the fiscal year, start of the fiscal year. Anything that we can share, we will share with you in terms of what projects we're working on. Entrepreneurship Academy goes into, again, I spoke about this earlier, all the training that we've got on tap, and I've got some other information on that. Armory project, next step. So we did visit the Pikesville Armory. It was a great field trip. And we have another one that's planned for a smaller armory that has a little bit more of the fastest hours where the city would actually own the property. And I talked about partnerships. So almost done. Next steps. And this slide kind of goes into things that have not quite started yet. And this is a 5-year plan. So understand we're in stages here. And then some of these things kind of intercept and coincide, even though they're long-term. So you can see some of that in the plan. When you really go through those 57 pages, I think you can find it to be very enjoyable reading. It's not boring at all. It's meaty, tangible, really great things that we're going to implement, and I think you'll be happy with. So that's kind of the end of the presentation. I want to, again, leave some room for questions about any of the facets or components of the plan that you've read and are curious about. I've read it, and it's been read back to me several times. I feel like I'm going to probably have this thing memorized before long. But here's what it's done for me. When people come up to me and ask me, subsequent to working on this for a year, hey, what's going on in Greenbelt? My next response is, how much time do you have? Because we can talk a lot about what's going on in Greenbelt, and there's a lot. And there's one slide I did not get into, but we can talk about it certainly when you go into your questions, is branding and strategy. And just some of the basic general facets of branding and strategy. The question came up when we were visiting with APB in a meeting about the strategic plan a few weeks ago. Now, I believe Councilwoman McKinney actually brought this question up. Okay, we got all this stuff going on. Okay, so how do we package it? How do we show the world? How do we create the image, the brand? How do we become, the Coca-Cola of Prince George's County? When you say Greenbelt, everybody thinks of something. I think of right away, personally, medical. I think of everything goes on here medical. There are surgeries that are happening in Greenbelt, not necessarily at the hospital, but some of these surgeries are happening, right? There's clinical trials going on here in Greenbelt. There's a lot of things that we just don't make good commercials about. And so what's really important is this slide here. But this slide is a team sport. A consultant or myself can't dictate to me what our brand will be. That takes all of us. And so that's a part of this ongoing piece or component to the strategic plan that really is, going to encompass all of our feedback and all of our thoughts and ideas. So with that, that's my plan, and so we're open for questions.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for working with the consultants, Wilden,
Yes, sir.
to kind of pull this together. But it's not really about the contractors who were working with you. It was the work with the businesses, with staff, with residents, and just the comprehensive outreach, which kind of brought a lot of this together
Yes,
into a coherent
absolutely.
piece that we can kind of work from, a working plan,
Absolutely.
a plan that is not just put on the shelf, but instead is something that will guide us as we move forward. So I really appreciate your last statement about us all kind of working together
Right.
on the branding, the implementation. And branding is sort of a funny word, but just how we think of the economy in Greenbelt and what it means to have a resilient economy
That's right.
for the big businesses, for the entrepreneurs, small businesses, medicine, finance. So it's a lot. One thing that I did want to ask, well, two things, but one thing that I wanted to ask about was the business retention piece, because it just seems like retail is, if you look around the county and around, the District of Columbia and in Virginia, it's different stories. Maybe the District of Columbia is struggling with their retail a little bit. Virginia is kind of doing pretty well. Greenbelt, College Park, our neighbors, Riverdale Park, we're all at different points in our development. So can you talk a little bit about the business retention piece and in terms of where we are right now, coming out of the shutdown and with so many of our residents who work for the federal government, just dealing with a lot of uncertainty?
Yeah, actually on both. And I want to go back to your other point about plans getting put on the shelf, which typically happens a lot. And the reason that happens a lot is because there's no tool to measure. There's no metrics, number one. And then there's no tool to measure the metrics. So there's no barometer for determining whether or not, did you really do all that stuff and what happened? Well, we have that. And so we've already created that mechanism so that we can track this throughout the year. Number two, second question, in terms of retail, which is B2C, business to client or customer, and B2B businesses, Number one, the county leaks about before even COVID, $1.4 billion per year in retail to Washington, D.C., Montgomery County, and Northern Virginia. And so the emphasis has always been, even when I was working for the county, is to generate more activity in retail, particularly upscale. Those restaurants that we've been devoid of for so long, the Ruth Chris of the world, things like that. And so that's been really the effort to push forward and really attracting those businesses. And in traveling to ICSC to talk with those companies or those brands, I found it's actually getting better. The interest is getting better, and you've seen some of the attraction that's happening. In Greenbelt, I would have to say that with some of what's already happened with, you got Blue Sunday, you're talking about attraction. So we're going to try to maintain what we already have, but we're building on what we have with Blue Sunday. With 4 new stores, 4 new restaurants in the food court at Beltway Plaza, with a couple of projects that we can't just talk about yet, but we're hoping will happen before the end of the year. So in terms of retention, I think as long as we implement a BRE strategy that it really addresses what's going on with businesses, in other words, no surprises. If we're talking to them every day, if we're sending them newsletters, and on my signature line, you can see, if you ever need to meet with me, QR, and I'll come and see you. And so what we preach, Zihan and I, is we want to have meetings with you. We want to talk to you. Tell me when you're in trouble. Don't wait. There's resources to help you. That's retention. B2B, I think with, what's happening with a lot of our contractors, I understand we have a 1 million square foot office park sitting up on that hill over there, we call Capitol Office Park. A lot of those contractors in there did, in fact, lose contracts. Walker Drive, a lot of those contractors up there, they lost contracts, they laid off employees. But in our conversations with them, what we're trying to do is to help them pivot from what used to be the reliance on federal contracts and to pivot to doing business more locally with state contracts, literally be billions of contract opportunities they've never tapped into because they didn't have the resources to show them how. So we established what's called the Greenbelt Contractors Roundtable. And we had a call with the procurement director, Ms. Alice Williams, about a month ago, and there were 30 Greenbelt contractors on that call, speaking with the top procurement official in the county. And she's saying, we're excited with the new administration, the Brayboy administration, to be able to do more work with local contractors. The caveat, or what's really been a bit of a struggle, is getting them to believe. So for decades, they never really sought out opportunities because everybody got comfortable with government contracts. And that's kind of the play here in our DC region. But what do we do now? How do we stay in business? How do we grow? We help those contractors get connected to those decision makers, and we help those contractors connect with each other so they can go after bigger fish together rather than trying to stay in these silos. Everybody does their little contracts. It's working, Mayor. And so, that's kind of building on our roundtables.
Mr. George?
Well, I just want to, he just said at the very end, just quickly, one of the main things we're doing with BRE is we have the 4 different roundtables. So we're bringing our businesses together, the hotels, the contractors, the healthcare. So we're bringing all those together. The next one we're going to launch is retail. So in addition to John doing regular visits, and he has a QR code on his email for people to set up meetings when they want to meet with him, we're also doing kind of a B2B by having all the vendors work together to kind of help themselves. They bring issues to the city, and then we help them troubleshoot. We help them storyboard. So like with the hotels, we're looking at ways that they could regionally market together. So that's another way we're doing BRE, is really working with these. We'll end up by having 5 roundtables active by the new year, and we'll just keep those rolling. And they're very successful. I think that's one of John's greatest successes so far, is getting those 4 roundtables up and running, and then launching the 5th one, which will be retail.
Communications. Council members, do you have some comments? Please.
I thought I read the report over the weekend, and I just wanted to comment that, as someone who did not go to business school, I thought that this was really very comprehensive, like very easy to understand. Like, and I mean, I just think they did such a good job working with you, and sort of the way the whole report is laid out. I love the way there are SMART goals on here. There are targets. The approach is measured, but it's achievable. Um, it's a really exciting report to read, and the further I read into it, the more optimistic I felt, which is a great feeling to have. And like I said, I think it's just really great, and it's just a very accessible report, and I appreciated that as a council member.
Thank
So
you very
thanks
much,
so much.
Councilwoman.
With a liberal arts degree, I mean, so it was really nice that I was able to read this and understand it, and I love the idea of how revitalization of the city is laid out in a way and proposed in this way of connecting the city back together, of uniting all the sectors of the city. And I really, I just loved to see that. And I just think it's really exciting.
Thank you very much.
So thank you.
Appreciate your support.
Councilmember Pope.
Yes, thank you. And I just want to echo what Councilwoman Pompey just said. I just wanted to tell you thank you. And I think you guys are doing a fantastic job and sharing all the resources that our business owners need, small or large. And that's just a tremendous effort on your part. And I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Niesel.
I too really, really love the report. I'm so excited that we even have an economic development department, 2 whole people. It's so exciting. And I know that when you're getting any sort of program like this going, getting buy-in is so hard. And I wanted to know kind of how your outreach efforts to businesses are going. How is the Salesforce CRM shaking out for you? Have you found that email is an effective tool for outreach for all of the different types of retailers you're working, or not retailers, all of the different types of businesses you're working with? I'm wondering, can I carry around your business cards and just start handing them out to people?
Sure.
I guess what I'm saying is, how is that outreach going? Is there anything the city can do to help you in that outreach, et cetera?
Okay, well, I can give you some data. So we've sent out about almost 6,000 emails since last year in the way of newsletters and announcements and what have you. Just really trying to touch all 1,230 of those businesses 4 times a year. That's our goal. And then we have a goal of visiting 150 businesses face-to-face every year. In terms of the feedback, the way we frame our email, you've noticed it, I'm sure, because I've gotten response emails back. I'm not a big fan of constant contact. So one of the first things I did was, we got to get rid of that. Everybody gets that. It's junk mail. Thanks to our amazing IT team. Don't ask me how they do it. I'm not that geeky. But they were able to go in and put in some mechanism that allow us to get about 50% less spams. So when I hit that button and that blast goes out, it comes back in less than an hour. There's 300 or 400 emails, and I can see where they've been opened. And I can also see how many times they've been shared. And some of our emails are getting shared 4 and 5 and 6 times. So that means one person started as the nucleus for that one email, and it gotten to 4, 5, or 6 people. So by the end of the week, we've gotten twice as many emails that it shows that we actually sent out. We just want to know that we are making contact. Everywhere I go, I got your note, I got your email, so I know it's working in terms of communicating. But what's really important is that response such that we're able to identify trends and problems that's going on with businesses to where we can really put, more of these programs in place to address the masses because we've identified trends. Zihan has become the expert on permits. So he's becoming the person in the city, that takes care of any issues people are having with those 2 kind of cumbersome, probably shouldn't say that on TV, programs.
Go ahead and say it.
That our county regulatory agencies have. And by the way, I personally think DPOC, because I worked for the county for, so long, they're responsive, but, greasy, what is it? Greasy wheel gets the grease, or however it goes. You
Squeaky
gotta,
wheel.
Squeaky wheel gets the
squeaky wheel
grease. Yeah,
gets the
that's my
grease.
saying all the time.
And having a relationship with those folks over there helps a lot too. But to your question, yeah, the CRM is, we couldn't do any of this without a CRM. So thank you for allowing us to purchase that and put that in place. And we about to sign a second-year license with that. We're bringing on an additional license to go to our PIO because he's seen the value and he wants to use it also to really communicate with our businesses out there. So it's doing well, Councilwoman. Thank you for asking.
Yes, Councilmember McKinney, please.
So thank you again. I think we talked a little bit about this actually in the APB meeting, but I really want to make sure that we are getting out a lot of this great effort that you've put in the consultant have put into this report. I do agree that I think it's great for, like, it's been put into a format that's easily readable. You can sort of download it. But the reality also is that most people aren't going to read 100 and plus report. So I'm thinking about what are the additional ways that we can engage with the community and get out the message around the strategies that you've put into the report and specifically the sort of outcomes and the milestones that you're hoping to do over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So is there a way, and this may be something to think about long-term or short-term, but I love the way that when we did ARPA and we had an Engage Greenbelt site, it was a separate site, but the format of that was something that someone could easily go to and sort of track progress around that. And I'm just wondering if there are ways that we can take a similar approach with this, as well as other sort of plans that we're doing so the community can go to one place and be able, as well as businesses can go to one place and see what those strategies are and what we've already done as progress towards those goals. So I'm not sure if that's actually more of a question for you or more of a recommendation or a thought that Mr. Samarone and Mr. George sort of think through in the future.
I'll jump in for part of that. I think thank you for the recommendation. I think fits well into the marketing and branding component because the different strategies that are identified apply to different groups. One of the strategies that we have been executing that Tim just mentioned about is our roundtables and how we're using that to brainstorm and execute different initiatives. Like the marketing, we're now in the Experience Prince George's guide. And so that's been an effort to, those have been strategies that come out in the group. And so we're packaging things that are coming out of that report and other things. And I think the telling our story and how to sell the value proposition is taking that report and making nuggets of digestible information for particular target groups. Healthcare is going to have a different focus than retail and restaurants and whatnot. So taking that report and making smaller snippets of information for different target industries.
Which we actually have done. So we have different groups that we've put together on our email blasts specific to that industry sector. Here is something that's pertinent to what you're doing right now. Our contractors roundtable, we have about 48 people signed and about 30 that are active with that roundtable. When we see that there is an opportunity that's coming for contracts with the state, and we deem that as something that could fit with a lot of our companies, we blast it out to that group. So to your point, Josue, we certainly are trying to stay on top of that as well to really segment properly.
And I would add that the strategy is not just a business focus. I hope that you guys appreciate the 2 new newsletters that we sent out. One's the Council Connections and the Weekend Guide. That's an effort of consolidating information, making more visually oriented to direct people for specific activities.
Yes, Councilmember Fritz.
Thank you. And we're both relatively new to our respective positions, and we talked about that at Labor Day.
Yes.
And we had a really good conversation about transportation. And I want to say
Yes.
that, so much of economic development is location and perception. And Greenbelt, I cannot ask for a better location for a city in the fifth largest metropolitan area in the country, nestled between Baltimore and DC. I just saw that Yellow Line service is going to reopen next month. So people will now have a connection from Greenbelt to National DCA. They will be the closest metro station to BWI. We have a MARC station. We have and we have this just intractable, I will say with my friends, last mile problem, where if I'm at the Greenbelt Metro right now, I can get to Chinatown, Gallery Place, 28 minutes. If I want to get on the bus, it tells me it'll be 55 minutes. That last 2 miles, that connectivity of our city, I really think that's what's holding us back from having that density of activity, because once people are out here in Greenbelt, they walk around, they go to the movie theater, then they go to the co-op, then they go to the New Deal, and we have that density of activity that's really robust, and we have that really strong sense of place. And I'm so glad that there's a strong focus on tourism, because before I was a resident, I was a tourist, and I've been a tourist coming to Greenbelt from the moment I heard about it. As soon as I heard about the history, I've been coming here. Jenny said she's a liberal studies major. I was a history major, but that sense of place that we have is really what makes us unique, and I think helps us tell that unique story. And one thing that I would love to see as we're moving forward iteratively, incorporating cooperatives into the economic development strategy. I think that is very unique to our value proposition as a city. I was just at a really robust opening of a cooperative bookstore in Washington, D.C., right in Brookland. Dozens of young people, one of the most diverse crowds I've seen in the city. It's called the Bowl Co-op. They have it's an incredible third space. They have great events that attract young people from all over the region. I think we have the potential to do that here too. And I think helping our cooperatives tell their story too, because I think that'll also help us with a lot of our economic development goals in terms of, pursuing, more equitable economic development, giving workers more of a buy-in our economy, and doing more to make sure that we are helping folks meet their needs, create third places, and, really highlight what makes Greenbelt such an incredible place to visit.
Thank you very much. And to your point, there is actually a section in 2.0 that deals specifically with co-ops, and we really think we've been supporting them pretty well. As a matter of fact, with some of the programs that we are anticipating being able to access, one being even the facade improvement grant, that's going to possibly help a co-op to really aesthetically be more pleasing in terms of their skin or the outward appearance of their business. But you're absolutely right. And I think last month was co-op month. So we work very closely with our co-ops, particularly with the supermarket. They have an endeavor that we are working with DHCD futuristically to do something really great. But it's kind of a stretch. So we are definitely active, and that's a very good point you raised. Definitely.
We're going to need to move on. I did want to just make a real quick comment about the ribbon cutting for a DMV gym on Saturday. It was phenomenal. People may have seen a couple of photographs, or maybe they've heard us talk about it, but to see that the entire west side of the Greenway Center parking lot filled up with cars, the entire lot by the IHOP and by PM Pediatrics, it's something we haven't seen for a long time. And sometimes one business like that can be a tipping point or a catalyst. After the ribbon cutting, I was getting a sandwich over in Wendy's, one of the restaurants. People coming into all the other restaurants. So it's phenomenal what the impact of one business can have.
I don't know if the bodybuilders would have approved of a Wendy's sandwich, though.
I was going to say you didn't go to the smoothie shop after the gym?
Well,
assuming the smoothie shop, they're gonna do great business over there.
So it's really, there you go. So it's pretty phenomenal. Let's see, we'll take a comment. Mr. Hartman?
Michael Hartman, Duke Court Garden Way. Speaking for myself and not for the cafe, but when I was president of the cafe, Mr. Mason made every effort, I know, to really work with the small businesses and the co-ops. And I want to recognize the work that he and Ms. Chin have done for the small businesses and for the co-ops. He always had us first in mind. Well, not always first, but a lot of times we were very well represented, and his ideas, his innovations, his work, and the work both of them have been very much appreciated by small businesses, cooperatives, and now that the cafe is a nonprofit 501c3, even now more. We see Mr. Mason as a friend and supporter of the businesses and the work that he continues to do. So I just want to thank him publicly for that. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have something to add?
Do we actually need to move to approve this officially? Yes, so I move to approve the Economic Development Strategic Plan as presented.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much for your good work, Mr. Chin. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, that's going to bring us to,
Yes, there's a
remember-
lot of work that went into this.
a whole lot of work. Item number 13 is funding, it's parking regulations for electric vehicle charging stations at the municipal building. So there's an amendment to the city's parking ordinance that's proposed to designate the EV charging spaces as restricted use for actively charging vehicles only. This draft is included for council's discussion. City manager, would you like to provide any additional information or any updates?
I think you covered the substance of it, Mr. Mayor. We have a proposed charter, ordinance. I can read that, but essentially, we do not have regulations that allow us, actually, we don't have our own regulations for EV charging designated parking spaces. We can still enforce vehicles that are non-EV parked in EV designated stations using the state code, and that's a $100 fine. But it would be in our interest to have our own city ordinance. The major distinction is, one, we can regulate things that are beyond the scope of the state code, and two, when we cite a vehicle under a city code, that fine, the revenue of that fine goes into the city's general fund, versus if we cite a vehicle under the state code, that's money that we would transmit to the state.
Understood. Let me ask you a question. So with the information with the amendment, in terms of enforcement, if someone is parked blocking an EV station, a non-electric vehicle, can we tow the vehicle, or do we just have to fine them retroactively?
Yes, you can tow the vehicle, but you first have to find the vehicle. You have to issue a citation to the vehicle.
Write a ticket, and
Correct.
then you can tow it immediately?
Generally, yes.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, so the header on the agenda item says related to the municipal building, but it looked like this would apply, the ordinance looks like it would apply to all EV locations. Is that
Correct,
correct?
and the two projects that we have in the work, well, one that that we're actively working on, and we're waiting for the historical review committee at Park and Planning to review the application of the EV stations going into a parking lot.
What, really?
The parcel is designated to the community center, so the parking lot is part of a designated historical site, which is the community center. So that triggers the historical and architecture review committee to review it. Yeah.
My only other question was, is there a reason why the $100 was highlighted in yellow?
That's defined that we're allowed at the state level. I would propose that we set that fine at it is, or pair it with whatever the state is, so that it automatically changes when the state changes its fine.
I think that seems like a good suggestion that to if we can, I don't know if that's something we need to add to our ordinance that to civil penalty of $100 or whatever is allowed by.
We can, we actually, council, we plan to introduce a speed sign, a speeding, automated traffic enforcement for speed cameras, an amendment to that ordinance because our ordinance specifies $40 and the state recently updated its monetary fines for speeding violations using the automated camera enforcement. And those are tiers. Those are based by how much you're speeding. Our code doesn't allow us to do anything more than the $40. So that's an example of another area that we need to update. It would be good to we'll work with attorneys to find language that allows us to use whatever state tier systems there are and whatever changes are contemplated. As you know, we don't change your city code very often.
Okay. Hey, so the draft ordinance, can we introduce that initially now, or do we need to amend it?
No, I would need to schedule it as a first reading. Mhm.
Thank you. Are there
This is
any other
just,
comments on?
it is our practice. We don't just spring a ordinance without some sort of notice.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to item number 14, which will be the stop sign camera request proposal. An update on the stop sign camera request.
Yes, this is just a brief update. As you know, we've been piloting the different stop sign camera technologies in the city. We're now on our second pilot with a different company. The market has changed when we initiated the stop sign enforcement effort. There's only one company in the market, and we had the opportunity to ride a contract with that, an RFP process and contract that Berwyn Heights put out. Now that the market and the landscape has changed, now we have more competitors. I'm concerned that we may be challenged if we wrote a contract on an RFP process when the market only had one active player. So we've put out an RFP to get proposals for stop sign vendors. And we put that out, we'll review those and bring a contract to council when that's ready. I think it's advantageous to us now because we now have greater competition. So the pricing structure with a vendor would be more competitive now than they would have been when there was only one vendor. I will hope so anyway. That's what market forces are supposed to do, right?
Hey, so you're piloting the second program. So if someone stops with their tires over the line, are they going to get a warning, or is that?
Right now, no one's getting any letters. We're just collecting the data. We will present the data in the video like we did last time that we had footage of cars running through and whatnot. We will do the same thing.
Ms. Pope?
So yes, we're not going to identify any council members.
You'll see my husband's car.
Council member.
I just wanted to thank you for moving forward on this as expeditiously as possible. I know at our last four cities meeting, the mayor of Berwyn Heights, where they're already using and enforcing stop sign cameras law, she had mentioned that it was something like the violation percentage had gone down by like 70%. So they are working. I mean, people are not running stoplight, are not running stop signs at nearly the rate at which they were, which I found really encouraging and exciting for us. So looking forward to that as well.
Thank you for sharing that. And I would say that having so many municipalities around us already starting these pilot programs, it's changing behavior in the region. So we're seeing indirect benefits by someone else having it. And I think when we start sending tickets to folks, it's not going to be a big deal, right? They might have already had a ticket or so from someone else.
Councilmember.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this move forward. I wanted to point out that I guess this is actually good timing because November 16th, this past Sunday, was the World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims. And so there is a lot of movement, both at the national level and at state level, to look at victims that have been killed or seriously injured by vehicle deaths. So if we can be part of that in looking at continuing this pilot, I think that would be great.
Mayor Pro Tem?
And I think one of the things, because we have the blinking stop sign now, which we didn't when we did the first pilot. So will we be able to see the comparison of if there are differences, like if that makes a difference? It just seems like the data nerd in me wants to be able to compare before we had the blinking stop sign, when we had the blinking stop sign, and then once we actually start issuing warnings and or tickets.
Yes, so we actually have data on post blinking intervention strategy. So we have that data. We just need to schedule the time to present that to council. So with Abio, we did the pre and post data analysis. The pre was before the blinking stop signs, and then a post blinking stop sign. The company that's the trailer that it's out now, it's an entirely different company. And we did see a reduction in stop sign violations as a result of the blinking lights.
And that's potentially useful since we can't put the stop sign cameras everywhere because of the regulations about where they're allowed to be. So even intersections that maybe could benefit from a stop sign camera, we're not allowed to put them everywhere.
Correct. One of the issues I see being able to do causation or correlation is it the blinking sign or is it the previous camera that we had on there? There are other factors.
So we need to introduce the treatment condition and then remove it and do it in different orders at different places. No, that's.
And then we need to have a control group.
Why not? Maybe we should just put a sign below the stop sign saying "stop sign camera" here, and that way, it would change people's behavior. People would stop.
Yeah, like dog on premises. You don't.
This is encouraging.
That's a tricky situation.
Let's keep this up. The timeline. When do you think?
The RFP is out for 30 days and then another week or so of review. So you have a meeting. Your next meeting is December 8th. I don't think you'll be ready for December 8th. Then your next meeting is in January. We hope to have it for the January meeting. So we'll have a lot on the agenda in the new year.
Very good. Thank you so much. Item number 15 is the Legislative Support Services contract approval. So, Mr. Summerone, would you like to summarize the action here?
Sure, I'll tag team with Tim on this. There's a memo in the packet regarding the approach that we took. Obviously, it's being informed by council's decision to go with a multi-provider approach. We've done some arm stronging or arm twisting to get us under budget. With the two contracts before you, we're just under our budget for the full legislative support services. In total, you're looking at two contracts totaling $36,000 for the year. That's $1,500 for each contractor. We have included the contract, so we're asking council's approval for the contract attached or substantially similar. We've included a scope of work, so this is an opportunity for council to give us feedback on the scope of work, and then we'll take it to the contractor should you approve that tonight, and then we'll make sure to review the scope of work and set clear expectations of the contractor and bring them to the work session that it's tentatively scheduled for until council approves it tonight for the 17th, December 17th.
One thought that I have, I don't think it's a substantial change, but somehow like to encourage collaboration between the two. With the scope of work, you've designated one focusing on state primarily, another focusing on county, but I think they both have expertise. So if there was some way of sort of suggesting that they, encouraging them to collaborate, particularly on county affairs, because I think there's a wealth of knowledge with both of the proposed contractors.
Absolutely, we're going to take a team approach to this. One of the challenges we discussed through during the work session with council was having two individuals means managing two individuals, and so it's best if you're managing together. Otherwise, you lose some of the management control. So I'll work with Tim on seeing whether we're having just one check-in with the two of them, so that we're all hearing the same thing and we're all on the same page about what work is being done. And if one person needs to contribute to someone else's work, then it's all being done in one meeting. That would also save Tim and myself an extra meeting of having to manage two individual contracts. So that's just one approach. But also we're going to do some team building with these two contractors and hope that we can create synergy and just be in alignment. And sorry, go ahead.
I think that's right. And just to follow that, so their scopes both say that they're going to be working together. And in conversation with them as we approach them about this contract, they're both fully on board with working together. They know each other quite well. And they know that a big part of that responsibility is going to be overlapped. There are a lot of bills that cross from county to state. So that is something that they're both well aware of. And they're both really kind of excited to work together because they've known each other for a great number of years.
Very good. Councilmember McKinney.
Thank you for putting in the scope of service. That is helpful. When do you anticipate that you will have, like, what the format for the reports to us will look like? So the structure, because I think part of our challenge last time is that it was very challenging to look at those sort of things. So it would be helpful before they start using it for us to actually get a sense of what that's going to look like and for us to be able to give some feedback on that.
My hope is that tomorrow, if should council approve these tonight, we get started on tomorrow. And we have a lot of work ahead of us. We've got the District 22 dinner coming up in just 2 weeks from tomorrow. Then we have the council retreat on the 17th. So I hope that template can be sorted out by the 17th. And that way we have council providing feedback on it up through the 17th and end of the year. The session with the state kicks off in January, but the county is ongoing. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Other comments?
Do you think that's something we can adhere them to, the 17th, have a reiterative process on the template?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And if you have seen a template that just has wowed you or you think fits us, please send it along, whether that's the MML template or we've seen the PGCMA template. Those are two templates that we have seen. Mm-hmm.
Okay, could I please have a motion?
May I?
Yes, please.
Okay. I move that the council authorize the city manager to execute contracts, that the attached contracts are substantially similar agreements, or substantially similar agreement in form as reviewed by the city solicitor, to engage Carrington and Associates for state legislation and L.A. Perez LLC for Prince George's County Council legislation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any additional discussion by council?
I think it's worth noting that its services shall not exceed 18,000 a year. We mentioned that, but just to state that explicitly. Again, it's not in the description, but it's in the contract.
For each?
For each, yes.
Just one more. So I saw in the contract, it was a maximum of 3 meetings with council. Is that correct?
Let me see if I can pull up the contract. We've specified 3. If council wants more than 3, we can certainly add those in. There's there's some additional funds in that legislative item in the budget. If we want to add more meetings, quite often, I know Mr. Carrington came to additional meetings without cost, just part of the contract. So we just want to specify that there were at least 3 meetings, which is kind of what we've typically done during the legislative session. But if we want them to call into a virtual meeting, I'm sure they would do that. So that if there's a desire that we have a specific number greater than that, we could add that and talk to the contractors about that as well.
So by meeting, that's a work session, a full work session with council?
Yeah, generally, yeah, when we think of meetings, it would be a full work session, whereas otherwise, we could have them come in and present and update at a council meeting, which would not be a full meeting, and that would, a lot of times, Daryl was able to do that virtually and just kind of call in and spend 15 minutes on an update, so that wouldn't be a full meeting. The updates would be more regular as needed, but the full meetings would be if we wanted to have work sessions, like the 17th would be a full work session where we really go through the scope and the requirements and the kind of setting expectations. That would be a work session.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're clear about that with
Yes.
the contractors.
And
Yes, please.
Mr. Mayor, the actual language says, including at least 3 presentations to City Council during the Maryland legislative session and 1 legislative retreat.
Okay.
So
very
it's the
good.
floor, not the ceiling.
Okay. Mr. Orleans?
While Mr. Orleans is making his way up, I'll make other relevant notes to the contract. We've set termination contract language that should council not approve funding in the 2027 budget, this contract ends June 30th.
Okay, that's smart, yes.
I couldn't bind council beyond June 30th budget, from a budget perspective.
Thank you. Mr. Orleans?
No doubt I am repeating myself, but it bears repeating. As much as $36,000 is not a heck of a lot of money. And I've already acknowledged many times over the years that I'd probably be a freer spender than anybody that I know has ever served on Greenbelt Council. But this is a waste of money. Council, all of you have other things to do, but a part of your week is reviewing reports from appropriate entities. One of the appropriate entities is the 22nd District Delegation. One of the appropriate entities is the Maryland Municipal League. One of the appropriate entities is the PGCMA. One of the proposal entities is the County Council, which we have 3 members. One represents us immediately, 2 at large, although I continue to think that all legislators represent all of the constituents, even if they are from only a given district. But that aside, we should be getting reports on state legislation from MML and PGCMA. We should be getting reports on state legislation from 3 delegates and 1 state senator, as well as others who are close by Greenbelt. We should be getting reports from, no longer Upper Marlboro, from Largo, from the 4th district council member and from the 2 at-large council members and from PGCMA. All these reports we should be getting from these appropriate entities should be sufficient for council then to determine in public session, asking residents what we think, what council should endorse or oppose as regards state legislation or county legislation. It requires council to actually put in some time, but most of the work is done or would be done by the state delegation, the county delegation, and the respective state and county organizations. This is a waste of money. It should not be approved by council, adopted by council.
Well, thank you. Are there any comments online?
I did not see any online. Let me check again. No, there are no hands raised.
Additional discussion from council? If not, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. I think this is going to be very, very helpful. Any support that we can get that will enable council and staff to be more effective than we already are is a benefit to our residents and to the people who do business here in the city of Greenbelt. It's very important. So item number 16 is approval of legislative priorities. So based on feedback from staff and council input and review of previously supported funded bond bill projects, staff recommends that we put forth the following 2 projects. The 2026 bond bill, the number 1, the Buddy Attic Park Walking Trail and Stage at $300,000, and number 2, Shrum Hills Park Athletic Field Lights at $400,000. Is there any discussion on this?
Vote on it.
Member Tim?
I just, you addressed some of the things that we brought up last week. I think the one that we talked about but isn't described in the memo was that playground on Breezewood. Was there reasoning about why that one wasn't framed in here at all?
The pocket park?
Yeah.
No, I apologize. I should have mentioned that. I think it was back to what we were talking about. We just didn't feel like we were going to be able to get an agreement with PGCPS in time to get it to the delegates by December 2nd, being so close. But that is something staff is going to work through. Josue and I are going to reach out to first Mr. Briggs, but then others to see if we can get an agreement. Honestly, if they're not doing anything with the park, they may not mind if we jump on to do something ourselves. That's kind of going to be our argument and approach with them. But that's certainly on our radar and something we're going to pursue. And it might be something, depending on how long it takes, that we could pursue for a subsequent bond bill. So that's not lost from our radar. We just didn't feel like, given the time between now and the legislative dinner, that we had time to kind of vet that out.
My preference would be that we find a way to the county just give us that parcel.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, if we're going to offer to make improvements, then maybe they will.
Yeah.
Hey, I have to say that I'm disappointed that we're not in a position to ask for some funding for improvements to some of the bus stops. In particular, I'm really grateful that Council Member McKinney brought up that idea. But the idea of getting the next bus signs at some of the busier bus stops is something that I think would be really helpful to a lot of residents. Over in Montgomery County, almost all of the bus stops have had next bus signs for about 6 or 7 years. So I remember when we were building the infrastructure to do that at Roosevelt Center. The planning staff, I believe, actually had price quotes and had talked to WMATA about how we could go about doing that. And at the time, it wasn't really feasible to do so. But I just think that, particularly there are just several locations where a number of bus routes converge, and having that kind of information for people to see who may not have a cell phone handy would be really, really helpful. So, any other comments?
Well, I think there is a note here about the bus shelters and that the shelter construction and total project cost of adding 10 shelters is below the internal threshold for bond bill requests. So that was somewhat addressed in the memo.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
It's a priority of mine, though, and I think several council members would probably.
Well,
agree.
we're welcome. If you want to add it to the list, we're happy to submit the low. We don't think it passes the internal threshold, but we can submit it if you would like to.
I wasn't asking that. I just say it's a priority. I'm disappointed that we weren't able to get the possibility of getting bond funding for that. And previously, I expressed a concern about going ahead and asking for funding for the Schramm Hills lights without, bringing a residents into the conversation. But I believe I'm going to support this because this is coming up pretty quickly. And I think the Buddy Attic Trail is a very attractive proposal. If we do get funding, it'll probably be for that.
I understand your disappointment. What I'm trying to say is that this is our recommendation. You have the authority to change these. Mhm.
So is there a motion? Please, go ahead.
Just if you would allow me to talk to the WMATA thing just for a moment. I understand the utility of having those displays. However, having used the bus service, and my son uses the bus service, and I pass the bus stops all the time, that doesn't help the fundamental issue that the bus service is flawed. And I would much rather focus our energies on forcing WMATA to have better phone systems so that everyone can call that number and actually get a person instead of waiting on hold like I did one time for 7 minutes while trying to check on a bus that was not going to come because the driver had called out that morning. And I was calling on behalf of a woman in a wheelchair who was just waiting at the bus stop. So until we can solve those problems, I would rather not spend money on displays saying that a bus is never going to come.
Yeah, and, I've experienced the same thing personally, and it's the county buses that is a real problem with them showing up and having accurate information, more so in my experience than with WMATA. So is there any additional discussion on this proposal? Please, go ahead.
I was just going to make a motion. I move that we put forward the two projects for 2026 bond bill consideration, the Buddy Attic Park Walking Trail and Stage for $300,000, and second, the Schramm Hills Park Athletic Field Lights for $400,000.
Second.
So second?
Second.
Okay, any additional discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you so much. And that's going to bring us to, yes, please.
Mr. Mayor, just one comment. For the December 2nd meeting, we also present the Legislative Priorities Council at its October meeting. discussed the PGCMA priorities that were to be submitted, and council selected the regulating the streaming services for local media to support mental health services. We plan to use use that as a legislative priority as part of our presentation. The other ones that council considered were funding for juvenile justice reform, regulating social media for sustainable local media funding, taxing social media companies for youth mental health services, and continue opposition for the superconductor, which I think will drop this one off the list. The other one, we're extending the homestead tax credits.
Right, and and this is for the meeting on the 2nd with the 22nd district.
Correct.
Right, so we cannot present all of those. I think we need to just focus in on one or two. What are the other municipalities? How many, do you know how many legislative priorities they're putting forward?
Most are doing two legislative priorities, separate from the joint legislative priorities that we discussed on the 12th of October. October, last week.
Councilmember.
November.
My recollection is that we voted on just cause eviction as our priority. That was going to be our PGCMA legislative priority this time around.
Other thoughts? Okay, do we need to, well, we were in a work session, right? But it seems like we did vote on that somehow.
We did vote on it at a
that.
meeting.
You voted on
Meeting.
just cause evasion. Were there other ones that?
I think that was the only one.
That was the only
we
one? So
voted
you just
on.
want to move that one forward?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry that I missed something on this.
Okay, well, that's going to take us to council liaison assignments for advisory groups. So we've got a list here, but we have a new council member. And we do not have Mr. Roberts here, unfortunately. So what we can do is we can kind of take a look at the advisory committees where a council member has more than one assignment. And I don't know what's the best way of doing this? Mr. Roberts, I believe, was working with which?
The Arts Advisory
The
Board.
Arts Advisory Board. I think, wasn't he working with the Youth Advisory Board?
No,
Was
that's
that,
Danielle.
Danielle?
Oh, okay. At one point he was, though, I think.
Ms. Pope, you've been working with public safety
Safety
and senior
seniors.
citizens,
Mhm.
right? So you got
Yeah.
two. And Mayor Pro Tem, you're working with Green Aces.
Yeah, and PRAB, but although that one's challenging because they meet on Wednesdays.
That's the problem or the challenge. So got two. Who's got the Forest Preserve Advisory Board?
I have that one.
I'd like to stay with mine because the seniors meet in the afternoon at 3:30, which is on a Tuesday, which is good. I don't work till 5 on Tuesdays, so that's perfect for me. And I've been in public safety for, 20-some years now, so.
Okay, Danielle, you have APB and the Youth Advisory Committee, and Ms. Pompey has the Advisory Committee on Education.
Community Relations Advisory Board.
So we need to split these up a little bit more. Councilmember Fritz, do you have a passion for any of these in particular? Or is there any way we can actually put up on the screen?
They're up there.
They're up there with the assignments as well.
I don't know
so
that we
you
have
see
them
which
with the
ones.
assignments, but.
So, Danielle, you've got Youth Advisory Committee and APB. Ms. Pope, you've got Public Safety and Senior Citizens. Weaver, you've got Green Aces and CRAB. And Niesel, you've got Forest Preserve Advisory Board. Are there any that one of you would like to give up? All of you, you've got two, one that you would like to give up?
Diesel also liaises with GATE, right?
GATE.
Which I guess is not quite the same.
It's not the same because.
But it's still, it's still an additional responsibility that she takes on. So I just want to note that. because
Thank you, Councilmember
It is an
Pompey.
extra meeting that she's attending to.
And as Mayor Pro Tem noted, CRAB and some of the other boards, they meet on at the same time as council, so you can only go to about a half an hour. So is there one, would any of the sitting council members with assignments like to give up one of their assignments to Councilmember Fritz? Or is there one or two that you are especially passionate about, Councilmember Fritz?
I'm fine to defer to seniority, and I will take whatever assignment folks would like to assign to me, but they all sound great in different ways. And I would say on the campaign trail, a lot of people asked me if I was going to be their advisor, and I said, I don't think it's going to be specifically up to me, and I want to hear what folks want to, I don't want to take anyone's first choice for sure. So like if maybe that would be easier if folks want to, well, actually, I don't want to put y'all on the spot either. If y'all don't want to say which one's your first, which one's your favorite committee, but if there's a vacancy that needs to be filled, I am happy to fill it, or I can express preferences. But I would prefer to just kind of let's embrace serendipity if I can on my end. But
The Arts Advisory Board, it looks like, meets on the first Tuesday of the month at 7. I don't know. Yeah, so that is one that I know needs coverage, unless somebody else wants to swap.
I'm happy to do the Arts Advisory.
Oh, that's fantastic. Would you like another one? And I'll note that the mayor traditionally has not served as a liaison on one because of the pressures of serving as mayor. I mean, seriously, there are a lot of meetings and things that I do have to attend. And I don't know. What about
I guess are there any other outstanding vacancies?
Crab? Or,
No, Jenny has Crab. I think Arts Advisory Board was the only one that Mr. Roberts was assigned to. Now, if you want to take on, this is not one of these, if you want to take on the Metro Washington Air Quality Committee, because I often am not able to make those. They're like Wednesdays, noon to 2 is the challenge. They're virtual, but that's not one of the city advisory boards, but that is one that I have a challenge making sometimes.
Yeah, and that's another discussion that we'll have a little bit later in the year in December.
I had one more question. We're also voting on the Charter Task Force review, right?
That's
of
true.
which we'll need 2 members to sit on. So that technically
Actually-
is a committee.
Yes, that's true. That is true. And I think, and Councilmember Fritz, prior to being Councilmember Fritz, had applied to that, to serve on that committee. I would also be interested in the Charter Review Task Force, just because that's something I'm interested in. But
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that a little bit more. If there's some way to actually have some flexibility just on who. So instead of just limiting it to 2 council members, if there was some way that more could be involved with the charter task force.
Maybe we can talk about that as the next item. I just want to make sure we finish. I just want to know which ones I'm gonna. I don't want to talk about that one before we finish this one.
Okay. So I'm not hearing anyone give up any of the other responsibilities. So the Arts Advisory Board. Education would remain with Pompey. The APB would remain with McKinney. The Arts Advisory Board, I would, if it's okay, Councilmember Fritz. Community Relations Advisory Board would be Pompey. Forest Preserve Advisory Board, Niesel. Greenbelt Advisory Committee on Environmental Sustainability would
I
be.
think they would come at me with pitchforks if I gave up on them in the middle of the save as you throw thing.
And, and Crab.
I mean, I'm happy to continue with that one. Like I said, I usually can only make 15 minutes of this. I mean, yeah, so that one is unfortunately not one that takes a lot of time because I'm already here for work sessions.
Public Safety, Councilmember Pope. Senior Citizens, Councilmember Pope. Youth Advisory Committee would be Councilmember McKinney. And Gate with a hyphen is Councilmember Niesel. So let's take a vote. Someone like to make a motion? I'll make a motion that we adopt these committee assignments for this term of council. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any additional discussion? All in favor, please. Oh, please go ahead.
Promise to report back everything that I paint with the Arts Advisory Committee. I'm very excited for as many painting and mural events that we can do.
Oh, that's very cool.
Be careful what you say about murals. You really, this will be your primer.
Check that for the record. Painting
now.
events.
It's exciting. I hope we are able to move forward with murals. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Congratulations, Councilmember Fritz. Item number 18 is the Charter Review Task Force nominations. So included in the packet, we interviewed individuals for this assignment such a long time ago. We held the nominations open, hoping to actually get a broader cross-section of residents in terms of where they live in the community. So we now have an opportunity to get the show on the road with the Charter Task Force reviewing the charter. So the manager has the opportunity to designate 3 staff members. Council can appoint up to 10 citizens and 2 council members. So the council action would be to impanel the 10 residents. I don't know if the city manager, if you already know who you're going to designate. You know who you're going to designate?
Well, one's going to be a planning department admin and DEI. So we know the departments. I'll speak with Terry about whether her or someone from planning is going to be designated.
And would that be a permanent appointment, or like with planning, would you just have one representative from planning and you'd be able to alternate, or if there's a conflict?
I don't think so. I'd like the idea of having continuity, one person following the process from beginning to end. From a project management perspective, the deliverance of a project depends on that sponsor being committed to the project and having ownership. So I see this assignment as a project that's going to have a beginning and an end, and a representative is going to see that work and through its entirety. At least that will be my expectation for staff. So if the planning person is going to own that work, they're going to own their piece of the work for this task force. Likewise for the admin staff and DEI officer. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. So I'm just trying to with the timeline, I guess, once the task force is convened, we'd have a better sense of what the timeline and what the steps would be in moving forward. I do want to make sure that all of council has an opportunity to weigh in on various aspects. If there's a concern, or if there's a particular language or something that needs to be included, I think that it's important to have that opportunity. Of course, the task force will be open to suggestions from the public as well. I mean, some people who will be following the task force who are not appointed, but there may be some people that actually come to every single meeting and have a lot of input.
There's some people in this room that are not appointed to a committee that may or may not come to every meeting.
That's right. So what is council's will? What would you like to do with this?
We have 9 names of people that we can appoint. So we can appoint everybody. And I think I recall from the interviews, everybody had lots of strengths and were very impressive in terms of many of them had prepared. So I don't see any problem with appointing those 9 people. If we can then find a 10th person to fill out the 10 spots, I think that's a good idea. So I think that seems like a fairly straightforward choice. I don't know, Councilmember Fritz, if you would still be interested in that, having applied as a resident, but now as a council member.
Once again, if a more senior member of the council would like to serve on the body, I'm happy to make space, but I'm also happy to serve either way.
And let me just circle back to the clerk and to the administration. These 9 individuals have all have been contacted and are available, even though we've interviewed them a while back. Everybody's on board.
They're eager to get started,
Eager to
Mr.
get
Mayor.
started.
I'm
Like, what's
concerned that
taking so long?
we were gonna lose folks if we don't move through this process.
Well, you lost me, so, yeah.
Councilmember Pope.
No, when are these meetings going to be held? Do we have any idea how we're going to schedule this, or we're just going to wait and see what everybody's preference is once we get the people together?
I think that's really the best way to get to it is once we impanel the group, get them back and find what's the best time to meet.
Okay, is there any additional input from council or from the public? Please.
As I say, I'm volunteering to be one of the new council members because it's something that I find interesting.
I wouldn't mind attending, but I need to know when it is. I can't just.
Well, we will have to make the meetings public, so these are going to be public meetings. So they're going to be noticed. They're going to be available to everyone. So yes, you can all attend. You just have to be mindful of your participation.
I think having people assigned and also then having people assigned who then report back, I think is important rather than having the dispersed responsibility that sometimes means that nobody does that.
Which is for on our end as management, we prefer the designating one person to be the representative. That's the person's going to be responsible for all the follow-up items.
From council or from staff?
No, I can only speak for staff. If council wants to assign duties to the individual council members, you certainly are entitled to do that.
Offered to.
Yeah, no, I will.
I suggest Kristen takes on this.
Okay,
task.
would someone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion.
Please.
I move that we impanel the 9 citizens who are, do I need to say all their names?
You could just reference the table that are of active applicants.
Yeah, I move that council impanel the 9 citizens who are active applicants for the Charter Review Task Force, as well as council members Fritz and Mayor Pro Tem Weaver.
Second.
Okay, let me just ask one more question. So in terms of getting started, we've got 9. Can they go ahead and meet just with 9, or do we have to wait?
Will be quorum.
Yeah,
That's
let's go
quorum, yeah.
ahead then. Okay, is there any additional discussion from members of the public or anyone online? If there's not, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor?
Is there one question?
Yes, please.
Just clarifying, the council members are voting members or non-voting members?
No.
We did not define that in the resolution.
So
There
that-
was a lot of talk about what role council members will have, I think.
Well, normally,
The,
Advisory role was my
yes.
understanding.
normally there's not council members do not vote.
Intention was for this to be a resident-driven process.
Although having gone to the charter review session at the fall MML conference, there are definitely municipalities who've done it very differently. I mean, I think at least one of them, I can't remember which town it was, at least one of them, it was very much a council-driven process. So I think that is, there's not one way to do things.
No, and also the role of staff. Staff is there in an advisory capacity and non-voting capacity. So we need to just impanel them and have a charter or an organizational meeting and discuss some issues. And if there are questions, they can come back to council to make a refinement. But let's please get this going. We've been talking about it for almost a year, more than a year.
Thank
so
you.
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next up, we've got a question about the approval of the Prince George's County Municipal Association membership dues. Councilmember Pompey, you requested that this item be placed on the agenda. Council had reallocated the funds within the budget early in the year and deferred this question about the dues and membership to later in the year. And here we are now. And we would need to make a decision on this in order to continue our affiliation with Prince George's County Municipal Association. Councilmember Pompey.
I just put this on the agenda because I know that we have received invoices. I'm not even sure what our dues are, but because we did not put this into the budget, we have to decide now if we would like to continue our membership or not. Mr. Summerlin, do you know what the dues are? Have they sent you an invoice? I haven't seen
It's,
that.
Yes, we did. I thought we
18,000.
included it in the packet. It's 18 something.
87.
Yes.
So it's under $2,000.
Didn't it go down, the fee?
It did. This is lower.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
used to be more like 3,000, I think. So this is actually a substantially lower amount based on their new dues structure.
But it also does not include the legislative support services.
Correct.
That's correct. So, Councilmember McKinney, or did you have more, Councilmember Pompey?
Oh, I was just going to say, I will just say that my biggest concern is that, having attended several PGCMA meetings this year, is that there are members of PGCMA and of the board that are very concerned with raising more money and having a robust bank account, which I feel very differently about. There are lots of, well, I don't know lots, but there are many organizations such as ours that do not collect any dues at all, and they're able to function perfectly well. You know, they hold events and people just pay whatever the event costs. That's what they pay. Previously, all of our dues had gone towards paying for a legislative consultant, which we no longer have. And I just feel like, you know, I don't know that I feel comfortable with this sort of idea of bulking up the bank account. I just think maybe there needs to be sort of a pause in that. And yeah, so I just have some concerns about that when I don't know that we need money to do anything. So I'm just a little concerned. And I'm also a little concerned with the way in which the dues structure is laid out. Because the dues structure was basically laid out, it was like, well, we want to have this much money, so this is how we're going to charge people this way accordingly so we can get this budget number. So it just, that seems like not a great way to be establishing a dues structure to me. So.
Councilmember McKinney.
I believe we had, when we decided to kind of hold on making a decision about this, it was to better understand what additional changes, advancements, improvements PGCMA had made since the summer. And I know that that is still in progress. And so I also don't, to Councilmember Pompey's point, the dues, what do they go towards? Since there's no longer a legislative consultant. So what are we actually paying in for? So I too have some concerns without knowing exactly what this $1,800, even though, and I appreciate that it's lower, I do, but it's still $1,800 and I'm not sure what we're paying for and the services that we're paying for.
The thoughts, comments, Councilmember Pope.
I would echo what Councilmember McKinney just said. We did agree to just put kind of a pause button on and to see where this is going. So, and I would have the same questions. So, what are we paying for? But at what point do we have to decide if we want to be a paying member or not?
Good question. The invoice that we receive is dated July 20, membership for July 2025 through June 2026.
Yeah.
It says a due date of November 26th.
Well, I think one decision point would be the December 11th legislative event that I believe PGCMA is planning, because there is a different fee structure for a member versus a non-member. So presumably, if we don't pay our dues, however, that's not a huge difference. So that would be one decision point. Did anybody make it to any part of the meeting last Thursday?
I did make it to, I came in very, very late, but I was able to attend briefly, yes.
Anything to report from that meeting or any discussion of anything relevant at that meeting?
Well, they talked about the legislative priorities. They talked about the upcoming event, and they talked about governance. I think everyone is aware that the organization went through some administrative challenges, and I guess it's about a year and a half ago, the last year. So they are working on pulling together a team, executive committee that can actually move forward, and I think they have that in place. To me, it's a question largely of supporting our sister municipalities. There are 27 municipalities in Prince George's County, and I think our involvement is very, very important just to for the cohesion of the organization and for the impact of the organization when it comes to dealing with the county and dealing with MML. So I would argue that this support, the membership is fairly nominal. They do have a legislative activity coming up. And I think when you are asking what will the money do, I think our support will help to make the organization whole after the administrative challenges that they had a year and a half ago. Please.
Well, so I'm looking at their approved FY26 budget and the budget of $22,000. If there's if they're in a phase of internal reorganization, it doesn't sound like their primary issue is financial then, because you're not funding any staff with $22,000. And I understand wanting to be part of this larger network, but I have the least information about kind of what this is going to. So yeah, I don't know if the impediment to them getting reorganized is financial. It would be just my distant observation just from that, but I do understand obviously wanting to work together cooperatively, and maybe the role that we need to take to be more supportive is more of a volunteer role, because I see that not a lot of the other 4 cities are very represented on the board. Most of them are, but I think I saw, and looks like that's the old board that's on the website, but I didn't see anyone from College Park or Berwyn Heights or New Carrollton off the top of my head. So maybe finding ways that the 4 cities can engage, helping them, do they need more volunteer power? Is there ways that we can support? Because it doesn't sound like financial is the main way that they're going to get reorganized.
Well, I think, if I could, I think they're kind of beyond the point of getting reorganized. They are reorganized now. They're kind of dealing to catch up with with the legislative liaison in particular. I think they are planning to use some of the funding to catch up with that from a previous commitment, and thinking forward, finding a way to replace or to do something else to actually provide that service. And there was an opportunity for a seat on the board at the last meeting. So I think that it would be good. It's been a little while since there has been a representative on the PGCMA board. I think Councilmember Pope was the last individual. That's 3 years ago.
Mr. Gordon was. He was on. Yeah.
So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, another factor to think about is that I believe the bylaws changes passed, but I don't know if they have been approved by MML yet, and I think they need to be. So that would be another decision point to hold off. I think we can put this off until December. I don't think they're going to come after us for the dues. And I think if we need to pay the slightly higher non-member rate for the December 11th for those who want to go to the legislative dinner, I think we should just put it off, because I don't feel like we have enough information about what they're truly planning to do with this. And yes, it's a small amount of money. But still, I think I would be comfortable putting it off and getting some more information, and also seeing whether the changes in the bylaws have been approved by MML or not, which I don't know.
And I believe you actually rewrote.
Yes, I did volunteer for the policy committee, because to try to help put that forward. I was not the only one who worked on that, but yeah. But I don't know, but the board changed some things after the policy committee put forward proposals.
Weren't happy with something the board did.
I didn't agree with all of the changes that they made, but I think more importantly, I think it has to be approved by MML, and there were some things that I am not sure MML is going to approve about the changes. So I think waiting until we know whether MML has approved those new bylaws is an important factor.
You're correct. It hasn't come up to the MML board. It's actually the staff makes the approval pretty much. Ms. Pope.
Just wondered,
It is a staff-driven
I know
decision
College
primarily.
Park stepped away as well. Have they mentioned if they're willing to, be a new member and pay a fee this time? Have we heard anything?
I don't know. Yeah, a council member.
Ms. Niesel's had her hand up
Yes,
first,
please.
but I can speak to that point. Ms. Pope, when you're done.
I'm happy to let you speak first.
I know this was on College Park's agenda last week, and I believe that they opted to continue their membership pause at this time.
And thank you. I too would advocate for continuing our pause. I share the hesitation that they have still not made their mission very clear to me. And I would hesitate to support an organization at this particular juncture in their organization.
Well, we can vote on that. I'll just say this: the door is open. So as far as they is us, and if we are not a part of the organization, then we're not. But if you have questions about what the money is for, what the mission is, you have to show up and discuss it. And it's a forum. So to the extent that we are not there, then we don't really know. I'm not saying that very well, but what I'm saying is it's an opportunity for engagement. We can actually drive this organization to meet some of our needs. But if we're not at the table to do that, then these questions will persist. Yes.
Are we able to participate in PGCMA without being a voting member, without having the membership? So can someone still go and then see what progress they make, even though I understand we would not be able to vote when we would need to vote?
I suppose we probably could show up, but at some point they are looking for our support, and I just think I just really question the pause. It just puts more pressure and more uncertainty in their ability, our ability as 27 municipalities to speak to the county on our behalf. And at this legislative program that's coming up, I think that the county executive and many of the delegates and senators will probably be present, and legislative priorities will be presented. So I'll say it again, this is our organization as one of the 27 municipalities, and if we are not there, if we choose to continue the pause, then that leaves a significant gap in the ability of any municipality in Prince George's County to effectively petition to the county council and to the county administration. I think it's important. I'm not going to dwell on this. I feel like the door is open. Any of you can attend and do attend occasionally. So clearly, what I'm hearing is there's an interest in pausing. So let's take a vote and do that.
I would move to table this to the December 8th meeting.
Okay.
8th, is that the right date?
Second. December 8th,
Yeah.
yes, December 8th is our next meeting. And before you move to table, are you interested in hearing the financing piece of it? Wow, okay. I'll share my screen again. As you know, council removed this from the budget. We've identified where to pay for it. It was initially programmed to be paid out of the public officers fund, which is account 195. We zeroed that out, so it's not there. I think it would be best to pay for it out of the council budget professional service line because we moved that $3,200 into the professional service line when we increased legislative support services to $40,000. So we'll be moving that almost $1,900 out of professional services, which is in the City Council account 110.
Thank you, thank you.
That's the easiest part of that, actually.
Yeah. And if we table it, I'm sure that a representative of PGCMA would be glad to come and talk to us as a council, particularly for those that have not had an opportunity to attend a meeting or to really read the background material or the bylaws that Mayor Pro Tem helped to rewrite. Is there a second?
I just want to know what is the time frame for because now we're already way too late to pay this other bill. We're basically non-members right now because we didn't pay the bill that was due in July, right?
No.
November 26th, I think is what you said.
Yeah, we just got the bill and it's due November 26th for a period starting July
Okay.
2025.
Was there a second?
Yeah, I believe Councilmember Fritz seconded for
Okay.
the motion to table.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Yes, please.
I just want to say that, I would be more than happy to remain members of PGCMA if they were a non-dues collecting organization, which I think that they can be. I don't think that they need to collect dues. I just, I would be more comfortable with that. So I just wanted to say that. And I have participated in the meetings. I have talked about the budget. I have asked questions, and every time I ask a question, it's just talked around in a circle. So that's another thing that makes me nervous, is that I feel like I can never get a straight answer. So like when I ask, why do we need $22,000 if we don't have a legislative aid? The answer is, well, because we're hosting events and we need to have money in the bank to do that. But we don't really. So that's the kind of thing that that makes me want to pause. So anyway.
Okay, Mr. Orlean, do you have a comment?
Yes, thank you. I think maybe the last thing I would want to do before I die, and that's sooner than later, is to say that I agree with Mayor Jordan on anything. However, I agree with Mayor Jordan on this. And I agree with Councilmember Pompey as relates to them having a treasury. I don't think any organization should have a treasury beyond their immediate needs. But that aside, listening to some of you quibble about whether or not Greenbelt should belong to the county affiliate of MML because you're uncomfortable with this or that, it's just driving me nuts. Mayor Jordan said appropriately that Greenbelt is a Prince George's County municipality, and it's an obligation on Greenbelt's part to participate fully. If it's going to be a member of MML, and it doesn't have to be, but it should be. If it's going to be a member of MML, it should participate fully in the county affiliate of MML. And to the extent that, this is just me speaking, to the extent that elected members of councils of the other 26 municipalities reflect what's on those on Greenbelt Council, I can understand why there's dysfunction. But that aside, we have an obligation to participate in PGCMA, and I would hope eventually, if not tonight, council would agree to pay its dues.
Thank you, thank you. Let's vote. All in favor, please say, of tabling this to December the 8th. Please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. It passes. Yeah.
Unanimous?
Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. McKinney.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to reiterate one thing. I think our obligation is to make sure that we are managing our fiscal resources appropriately. And I think part of the pause is to ensure that the organization that we are a part of is managing the fiscal resources appropriately, and to make sure we understand where that money is going. So our pause is to figure out and understand how that will be utilized in favor of us being represented in that organization and representing our community.
Thank you. So that's going to bring us to item number 21, which is a letter to the Prince George's County Public Schools regarding community engagement. Councilmember Pompey.
Yes, I asked this for this to go on the agenda because I'm sure many of you remember a few weeks ago, Councilmember Weaver sent out an alert or information that there was going to be a community engagement meeting about Spring Hill Lake Elementary and the new building there. And we received that the day of the event. And there was no outreach by PGCPS to tell us about the event, or we had no time to even get someone from ACE to attend the event. And it was just really disappointing to me because we had just met with Dr. Joseph and we had just said, we really need you to have us be more involved here. We are here to advocate for these children. Please make sure that we are aware of these meetings going on. And he could have told us in that meeting even that there was going to be this public engagement meeting, and they did not. So I just would like to sort of reach out again and say, hey, like, we want to be involved. You had this meeting, you didn't notify us, but like in the future, can you please notify us when these public engagement meetings are happening? I just feel like we've been banging the drum on that for a long time, and like maybe this sort of follow-up after something just happened might, I don't know, jar something, or maybe we can try and establish a better line of communication with them. Like we need a specific contact person. I don't know what it is, but we're just not getting the information. We're just not getting it.
Why don't we have staff draft a letter and we can review it and put it on the consent agenda on the 8th instead of trying to write it here on the dais, because Councilmember Pope.
I just want to say to my defense that I did not see that message. We got it, I think, a day before. I think I forwarded you that email that where it was embedded in. Otherwise, I would have shared that, but
Getting it either.
we've seen it on the same, I mean, it was very short notice, and so otherwise, of course, I would have shared that information.
But I think it's problematic that staff got that little notice about it too. Like if you only got the message the day before and we got the message the day of, that's also not great.
So I think it was not shared, appropriately, like it should be. Maybe on purpose. I don't know why, but yeah. So I was able to dial in it eventually. I did go to the link, and it was a very short meeting. You could type some answers in the chat. There was no discussion going on, so it was kind of strange. You couldn't ask a question or anything, so I thought that was very, very suppressed. So,
I suspect after our meeting with Superintendent Joseph, he told staff, hey, put something together, and they did. They just forgot to tell us about it, which is kind of sad. But can staff put together a draft? Council can review it, and we'll put it on the consent agenda, and if we need to pull it off and modify it, we can do that. But that's how I'd like to proceed. Okay, let's go.
Do we need to actually vote to send a letter?
I don't think we do. I think we've given the city manager direction to do that. So let's go ahead and move to the next item on the agenda, which is council reports, council activities. You got a report? Anybody have a report?
I have the activities here.
Okay, Councilmember Pompey.
I have a report. I was asked by the Council of Governments to chair the Chesapeake Bay Water Policy Committee.
That's great.
So I will be, I guess, nominated this Friday, and then the appointment will be forwarded to the board to make it official. But they assure me that I'll be appointed. It's not going to be contentious or anything like that. So
That's fantastic. Yeah, good news. Let's move to council activities.
And this is from election day onward. So it's sort of a little bit of a mix. I don't know if it technically counts as the 46th council because we weren't sworn in yet, but that's where this list starts, is election day, after election day.
Anything anyone wants to highlight? The Greenbelt and Black History and Culture Committee put on a couple of great programs. The mobile Sankofa Museum exhibit, this kiosk that documented African American history in Prince George's County is interesting. It's up in the top floor of the community center. Yeah. Yeah, it made me think, is that something that we might be able to do in the future with our museum or with perhaps even some of the outcomes of the Reparations Commission? Yes, Councilmember.
I wasn't able to make it for the full Public Safety Awards, but I did have a good conversation with some of the awardees and Chief Bowers, and I really appreciated just the very incipient conversation I had about crisis intervention work that the department is doing, and I would love to hear more about that, especially maybe more public presentations, because I think we should be very forward-facing about what we're trying to do in the crisis intervention space, continue to educate residents about resources like 988 and other services that we provide, and also just the sheer amount of demand that they have. Once we put this system in place and, talked about how it's modeled off of Anne Arundel County's very innovative system as well, we're one of the first jurisdictions to be doing this. I think it's something I want to continue to highlight.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah, please.
Well, this is sort of can count as a little bit of an update for the Save As You Throw implementation. The Green Aces and Green Team has been hosting a series. They've done 2 out of 3 webinars, Q&A sessions, and then I think there's also going to be, there have been some articles in the News Review. There'll be another one in this week, and I think some other series trying to make sure to answer everybody's questions about that program as that goes forward. Believe the 2 places that have confirmed they will be carrying the city bags are the Co-op and the Beltway Hardware next to the Giant in Beltway Plaza. I think they're working on other locations. But so progress is continuing with the implementation and also trying to help make sure everybody understands that process. So there's one more Q&A webinar tomorrow midday. They did one in the evening, one Saturday, and one middle of the day on a work day. And then I guess we'll see if we need more later on. But hopefully, I think there were fewer people attending the Saturday one than the Wednesday evening one. So I don't know if that means that the timing was better or just there were fewer people that had questions. So we're finally answering all the questions. I guess we'll see tomorrow.
Anyone else? Hey, I missed the Greenbelt Concert Orchestra performance. I looked at the repertoire, what they're going to play.
Yeah, it was very
a lot
good.
Of Debussy and so on.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name. A woman composer that I wasn't familiar with, but was really, really beautiful. And then Carmen's Bizet's Carmen. And then Gershwin, American in Paris. It was very nice. And it was really it was packed, the gym. Like they had put in, I think, extra seats than before, and it was full.
That is great. Hey, well, if there are no additional discussion items, we'll go to item number 23, which is the calendar. So just looking at what's coming up, we have the council meet and greet coming up on December the 1st, and we didn't really have a location pinned down. So given the fact that that's coming up pretty quickly, the idea was put forward by Mr. Summerone that we perhaps just host that in council chambers. Next time around, we'll go out to Greenbelt East. We had intended to hold it in Greenbelt East initially, but don't have a site verified for right now. And you were talking about a small budget to provide some refreshments. So that's planned for December 1st. December 2nd is the District 22 Legislative Dinner. And if there's any way, Mr. Summerone, you can provide us with the outline or the tentative slides or draft that we can look at over the next week and a half, that would be really helpful. Also, we'll have a chance to have input into what we actually end up doing there. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Just a question on that, because I believe the calendar invite you sent out said 5:30. This says 5. Which one is it?
It's 5:30.
Okay.
It's 5:30. The dinner starts at 5:30, and the formal presentations are going to kick off at 6:15.
Okay.
And the run and show is similar to last year's run and show. In my email to council today, there's a link further down the email to the live PowerPoint that we're working on.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. We've got no meeting on the 3rd, December 3rd, but on the 8th is our next regular meeting. On the 10th, Wednesday the 10th, we would be having our council retreat that we discussed. And at the last work session or meeting, we were talking about splitting it up into two sections, and Mr. Reynolds, who would be our facilitator, has agreed to that. So the first would occur on the 10th, Wednesday the 10th, from 6 to 9 p.m. The second half would be on Monday the 15th, once again from 6 to 9 p.m. And then on the 17th, we would be having a pre-budget discussion, but also meeting with our legislative contractors to talk with them a bit about the process to kind of refine the deliverables in the format that we'd be getting information and just discussing the upcoming session. And that would be the last meeting of the year, the last work session of the year. So that's the schedule. That's so there are a few changes in there. So we need to. Is there any discussion on the calendar as proposed? Yes, please.
Yeah, I would like to, since we're going to have the charter amendment on the collective bargaining, I'd like to put that in that Wednesday 12/3 slot, since we have no meeting scheduled for that day.
I thought we were doing that because we already had 2 meetings that week with the legislative dinner and the council meet and greet. That was why we'd said none on the 3rd.
Right, but I think like now, since we still don't have the charter amendment, I mean, that would push the discussion all the way into the new year if we don't schedule it for that day.
I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of discussion around the charter amendment. I think we'll get the language, and I don't really see a lot of contention or resistance from council to moving ahead with
We
that.
don't need a charter amendment, then if we're going to have it, we could just do the first reading on the 8th, or we could do, I guess we could discuss it on the 8th.
Yeah, I don't really see a problem with that. Yeah. Okay, so could I have a motion to adopt the council the calendar as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Pope has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, well, that brings us to the end of the agenda. And could I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Is there a second? All in
Second.
favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
You can unplug. I need to be unplugged anyway.